ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, 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 seppellire lassù in montagna sotto l'ombra di un bel fiore.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Pro Hubs Season 1, Playday number 3 here over on the EU. My name is Jerry, and I'm joined by the incredible Whippet. It's a pleasure to have you here for the first time, Whippet. How you doing?
It's great, isn't it, Jerry? It's been too many years since we got the share casting desk together, and it was on a completely different title. But I cannot be more excited to join the Pro Hubs here and lend my voice to this fantastic league and product. And I can't wait to get into the action tonight.
Thank you very much, Whippet. Yeah, I'm just absolutely thrilled to be joined by you once again. Yeah, we're running it back. So, we've got 12 teams competing today, as we do in every Playday of the Pro Hubs League. Let's take a look at how the standings are settling after the first two Playdays, Whippet.
So we're just before that halfway point here in the season, and the standings playing out too. What would you say, Jerry, predicted so far? Quickly.
Somewhat, yeah, yeah.
So the goats in lead: Pulsar, Aimers, NDA, Saints One, Always Hungry, 200 bucks, Vatican, Gamblers, Team Extreme, Buy Wi-Fi, and Makeshift round out the thing. And looking at our top five, is this what we expected going into our first playday as we look at getting ready for playday 3?
Yeah, it's already beginning to shape out how we might begin to expect it. I mean, NDA being possibly the more surprise name amongst those, but they were always going to be pushing up for those higher spots. The Goats coming in as our first seeded team from the qualifiers, already justifying their lofty title, followed closely by EU mainstays in Pulsar and Aimers. And yeah, I think honestly the rest of it looks pretty darn close and certainly all to play for. With this particular point system, it really rewards going for first places in each of these cash out games. And of course, you have the bonus 1 point per kill. Doesn't make too much of a difference, but it's just a little bit of extra something there. So yeah, expect a lot of people going for that first place finish no matter what the cost.
I mean, it forces you into that. You just got to go for it. You want to get the 100 points best you can and climb the standings. Still, we're not even at the halfway point, so everything is still to play for a lot of these teams going into it. So I'm a massive fan of this format going into it. And again, nice little cherry on top if you can have someone pop off huge. You get a few extra points on that kill tally.
Yeah, certainly the best way to do it. If you want to have a cash out only section of a tournament, just get people playing lots and lots of games. A round robin is exactly what we want. Let's cut back to us just for a minute before we talk through our Group A and who we can expect on our screens today. But just before we do that, Whippet, there's been a lot of kind of settling in the meta. The first week we had Playday 1, lots of volatility, plenty of teams experimenting with weapons, with gadgets. And since then, already by the second Playday, it started to settle into a bit more of a consistent rhythm. We're seeing the 93R becoming the real kind of standout weapon for lights. We're seeing the exact same specifications or specializations across the board. Is there anything that you really want to see outside of the meta that could sort of light up the stage, maybe?
I'm always an absolute sucker for it, but every time I see a double barrel getting played, just that instant burst damage, that's the one that always catches me. Just you can dive in, cause that, but listen, the reason I'm on this side of the microphone is because likely I can't make that happen. So I'll trust the 9-3R picks because that consistency, that damage over range, it's a really competitive choice. I'm actually a massive fan of those changes, and just that consistency of being able to have that damage and that reach out on that lights class been very impressive from what I've played so far.
Yeah, it's starting to take a bit of favoritism in the casual scene, certainly. Well, I say favoritism, there's a lot of fire directed towards it on Reddit if you go there. So yeah, just watch out if you're at SH 1900 main. Your days may be numbered soon. But I would love to see some in Pro Hubs. It'd be excellent. A bit more than we used to. It's sort of on the very fringes at the moment. So let's have a look at our Group A, the first four teams that are going to be making a splash today. And we have right here NDA, Saints One, Makeshift, and Gamblers. NDA being the highest seeded team in this group, followed closely by Saints One. Real climbers after last week. They went from 10th to 5th, really kind of making up for what we saw as a very lackluster start. And then Makeshift in 12th, right at the bottom of the league as it stands. Surprising given the names on that roster. Gamblers, the final team, currently sitting in 9th.
It's a tough position to be both Makeshift and Gamblers coming into this one. Again, as I mentioned at the top of the show, we're just before that, halfway point of the season going in. Once we finish today's Playday in Europe, that will be half our games done or half our Playdays done. And for Makeshift and Gamblers, you really got to be kind of at this stage looking to get a massive points haul, or at least above what you've done so far, to be able to try and raise yourself from those standings. You can't sit in the second half of the season in these very vulnerable positions on the bottom half of the table.
Well, We have our teams. We are ready to go very shortly. So we're just waiting for the final checks to be done in the lobby, and then we can get straight on into it. The first map, Whippet, is going to be Skyway for every single group that we play today, as decreed by the gods. Little in-joke there, in case you actually know who decided. So, Whippet, Skyway Stadium, one of our oldest and dearest maps. Any thoughts about Skyway in general? Is it a yay or a nay from you?
It's a yay for me. I've enjoyed it. Listen, I'm a sucker for some of the older maps going into it. Everything except Monaco. Listen, don't talk. I got a bad. I don't win on Monaco. That's my simple rule. But I'm very interested to see these teams going head to head to it. And again, for myself, as I would say a novice here on the microphone for the finals and just joining you guys for the very first time, I'm very intrigued just to see how these teams address things. And the big thing is, as the meta begins to settle into its shape and form as we'd expect going into this season, I'm very intrigued about what results and action that we get ahead of us.
Well, just a reminder before we get into our game that, of course, our prize pool is growing. We have surpassed $1,000, and that is almost entirely due to the generous nature of our community. So if you want to contribute to that prize pool, drop a sub, drop a donation, drop some bits. It all goes straight to the players at the end of the season, and it has been growing so quickly, so we can't thank you enough for that. Sounds like, Whippet, we are just about ready to head on into the game. So, for the very first time over here on Pro Hubs, Whippet, do you want to take us in to Skyway?
Thank you very much, Jerry. It's been a while, and I've always wanted to say that until diving into the finals. Skyway Stadium, our very first map of Playday 3 here in EU, and I cannot wait to get into it. We're going to be following Group A through this action. Jerry, what is your initial predictions as we get ready to dive into the action here?
Well, Saints 1, don't let their fifth place standing currently fool you. They are certainly favourites in this group. NDA in fourth could be close second, though, as we get on in. Saints 1 in purple and NDA in orange. The teams to really watch out for. Gamblers and Makeshift, of course, cannot be written out, and I would expect Makeshift to find their gears, maybe shift it up a notch at some point soon and make a splash. It could be now. It has to be soon if they want to start climbing those standings. Here we go. The first engagement coming out between Gamblers and NDA. On the other side of things, we already have first blood for Sugi, in fact, but we'll stick on this side. Gamblers on the bottom floor of this office building trying to find an opening, get up to the top, but NDA have already tapped that vault.
High ground advantage going to be a little bit important here. Going to be a difficult retake to go up that stairs. Got a pad to work with, zipline to work. They're just trying to find themselves an entrance, demounting down for this opening engagement. H plus Infuser to work with as well. And they'll just drop themselves down. Good dome, and the opening pick should go with their favor. It's going to be a bit of chaos. The Hook's going to get a good stun. Disable it now and go all dart and dash within that dome. A great opening start from the side of Gamblers. Get themselves an opening pick. OG the Heavy is going to be slain from the side of NDA. And they're going to get that cash out stolen. Team out around the work for that cover, and it's going to be a flurry of kills off by Saints 1 as well. They're going to get a massive play. That's going to be Makeshift the other side of the map getting cleaned up. Gamblers flipping that box, and I'm surprised that it was even already plugged. That was a very close vault and objective spawn there. Kiriki finding the opportunity to maybe take down the light on the opposite side. Norton is melted, but Airshoot finds his kill as the medium also onto the light. Kiriki gets Devil's Work up, and now Gamblers are in a little bit of a pickle here. They're trying to fight their way out of it. Kiriki taking out OG though, and finds another onto Airshoot. It's only OG left, who's been quickly rezzed, but he'll be dealt with as the three players of the Gamblers do surge and deal with that res. NDA being forced out here, and we're already about halfway through this first cash out. Already damage getting chipped out down towards that villa. Going to be a dive straight in towards this. Going to hop on board with the side of Makeshift. They're going to look to try and make some impact work. Just going to try and bide their time. Red canister goes out, and 9-3 in flight. On board the light of Suki from this, and a high ground advantage. Just trying to get some chip away. Second red barrel sent off. Gateway should get them a nice opening to work with. They want to fight for this high ground to get that contestant. Running out of time to work with. They have to try and make something stick rather fast. Going to be playing on the cloak instead of the dash. So there's good damage done initially from that medium. D-Mat's down to try and fight down the staircase. A massive pad launch to make it a scurry and a skirmish outside. Everyone seems to be collapsing and trying to make everything work from this. First pick's going to go in favor of Saints 1 from that collecting. We'll have to find a second one. They will do so. 2 found for that Shack 50. Huge play. Leaving it all down to one player. Velo going to be shut down. Makeshift do not make this work. And they will fall. They will not get that attack done. Saints 1 should hold on to this cash out. A million with an extra 2-piece there. Like you say, the Shack making a difference. Kills going the way of NDA so far, but it's a 2 versus 2 over here on Cash Out B with not much time left. Gamblers just have to kite and stay alive. They found another kill, leaving only Norton in the 1 versus 2. He does win the first, but surely at this point, the 1 versus 1 against the light is going to be too difficult. Devil's Work will make light work of Norton.
And that is a first cash out going the way of Gamblers. NDA being found the better of there. Saints 1 and Makeshift. Sorry, Saints 1 and Gamblers on the right side of your screen ahead after the first wave of cash outs.
NDA going to be in a back foot here. Just trailing 4.5k to their name to work with from this. Vault 3 is going to get opened up. It's going to be a mess. 2 teams arriving already. It's going to be Makeshift and Saints 1 fighting to get that tap. Defib should go off and does connect for damage done. And unfortunately, that Defib's just going to be a res into the ether, pulled away from that hook. And it's going to be all down to someone. The last one standing. He's going to get some decent damage done, but unfortunately, he might not last too much longer. And he just gets shut down eventually. Melee from Owen Paris gets that one locked. That'll wipe Saints 1 off the board. The tap of Vault 3 does happen. Looks like we already get a plug and play. That's going to be deactivated now. And it's going to be held on side of the Gamblers.
These plugs have been exceptionally quick this game. No one wasting any time. We may even get to see one of the fabled 7th Vault spawns if we're lucky. Devil's Work finding Air Shoe to kick off this team fight. A missed winch, but it shouldn't matter as he's chasing down a very scared and frustrated OG there. The last one alive on his team. NDA, once again, struggling to hit their stride here. As right now, Gamblers look on top of them constantly.
OG having a difficult one so far. Just not making that impact yet, but so early days in this. Great pad to try and launch up. Gateway's going to be perfect to move that team in great mobility. All brought from the back pocket of your light. Trying to make a dive in towards C. Just going to be held by Makeshift. They need to make this one stick as well. That brings them back into play, getting ready for phase 3 of this matchup. They can make this one hold. They hold high ground right now. Good pad opening. Should D-Man onto the roof. The RPG will be a great tool for this opening. No targets to work with, though. Target scarce environment. The first pick, though, someone finds
Sugi.
it. And Sugi's going to be the first to fall from that. I'm going to wave goodbye to your light. So that's going to be that shock and awe. That flank, that applicability. Now completely neutralized early.
They were really toying with the idea of trying to go for that stall, but they've left themselves too wide, too thin, too early as well to try and play that kiting. Now they're left in a situation where they have to wait for that res. We now have the 3 versus 3. The second opportunity here for a retake coming out from Makeshift. They've got to make this stick. Great shots being landed by Alone in Paris. That pike coming out of the wormwork, the woodwork here in the meta to make an impact. And he's finding kills, he's finding damage, almost takes down Mickey, but Sugi will be there to clean it up. Last alive, a cloud emerges from midair, and it's not enough to keep someone alive. Velo finds his man, and that will be a successful take back from Makeshift.
Gamblers just getting themselves that respawn. They'll try and work to get something back in this. He's still lead for now, 19,000 in cash to work with, but late stages here of phase 2. Unsure if they're going to get an opening. Not sure there'll be a chance at a steal. Don't think they will. Cash out C looks primarily done at this point. They take that map pad straight into a jump pad to try and get some high control gathered yet again. There's that first cash out. NDA find one more for their name. Get themselves back up to the top spot. And it's going to be Makeshift collecting one. Resets us. Getting ready for this final phase here, Jerry.
Very close in the standings. The most exciting bar graph in esports. That's what it feels like in the top left of your screens every time. And it's been non-stop action this Skyway so far. Even in these quieter moments, we see teams taking pot shots across the entire map just to, you know, give a bit of a warning, fend people off. Right now we have Saints 1 in control of one of the final vaults. Everyone else converging on Vault 6, it would seem. This could get a bit messy.
It's going to be a triple stack here on Ball C. Bubble and Dome Shield's going to go up inside of NDA, and they kind of need to step up here. Now, Noji is going to take a massive amount of damage early, reduced to half HP to work with. However, he does chase down one. Velo will get caught within that crossfire, and Makeshift have one player down early in the midst of this massive team fight. Glitch Grenade goes out, but doesn't find its mark just yet. Second one will get no effective value either, and so chip damage done away. That's going to be Norton trying to dash in to get some combat. We'll take that gateway and get all the way out towards B. Gets that plug. That's going to be a little bit of chaos here, scrapping around that bubble.
Sugi, I think, was there. I think Sugi must have grabbed that box as Saints 1 were moving it across, but unfortunately he gets the plug, doesn't get the steal afterwards, so that is Saints 1. They took a very long route around the map. They wanted to defend Villa for this final cash out. They managed to winch it outside, give themselves a very nice vantage point. You can see here, Gamblers, the fight that they have to take is very exposed. Thankfully for them, Saints 1 haven't fully set up, so their approach is relatively unscathed, and now they have the high ground with it.
A little bit of a kind of turntable moment from them to try and dash around for this outhouse to try and make a play.
Oh, what are they doing?
It's going to be a 2 versus 1, massive split. This opening pick, oh, the infuser does not connect around the rocks, so it will be a 1-for-1 trade. Going to try and dive and play this 2v2. Going to be a great pick there. That's going to be the Shaq 50 full and finds it. He'll dive down, massive slide to the chase.
He's got it
to find that damage done. But unfortunately, a counter hook is there. He's going to get caught and compromised. And it's going to be a bit of a disaster here as Saints 1 lose one player in the midst of that chaos.
NDA, though, are trying to stick the steal here in the midst of it. The third party working out. It has been doubled as well in the midst of all this chaos. Sugi picking up 2 kills with a 93R, and Alone in Paris looks like he's going down in the distance. There are still bodies on Saints 1, but they hadn't kept themselves alive to defend. They were just fighting off what they could. Now, they are the team best set to try and do this. It's 3 versus 2 in the server. It's only a couple of Mexif players up to try and defend the cash out. They're not going to do it because it's NDAs. And now Saints 1, they have the lead. Makeshift will be happy with a second place. That's why they didn't overcommit there. But they now only have Sugi alive. The question is, can Gamblers come in to make something of this? They are the 3 players up right now with only 30 seconds left. Can they make the difference? Someone gets the res onto Mickey. They try to push in, but there's goo, there's domes, there's everything in the way. They're going to try and body block the shots, but no! Great shots coming out from someone and Sugi. 2 teams teaming up there to take out the players, protecting Saints 1's cash out. In comes NDA now to try and stick this. Can he survive? No, he can't. No, maybe almost. The lock bolt comes out, but it's still Saints 1's cash out, and they will take the victory. Alone in Paris hits a triple at the end. And a second place goes the way of Makeshift. He'll add 3 points to the tally as well with that triple. But my oh my, Whippet, what a calamitous and catastrophic ending for anyone that wasn't Saints 1.
Saints 1 were the beneficiary of absolute chaos on that from the opening. The fact that everyone, 3 teams converged on a singular vault at the beginning of our final phase to a nice little double dip and just everybody scrapping for it. Unfortunately, they couldn't get that steal in time and almost thought they could get that in the final dying embers. Unfortunately, they were shut down. The body blocking wasn't enough, and that's going to be a massive one for Saints 1. They get themselves that #1 spot, 62,000 of cash to end up the opening round here in Skyway.
Wow, that was exciting to say the least. I'm trying to catch my breath here. I don't know about you, but wow, that's one of those things. Obviously, you get a double at the end like that, it's always going to attract everyone in the lobby, and 12 people fighting over one objective. It's only in the finals, really, that you get that kind of drama at the very, very end of things. I would love to go back and watch that and understand the motivations behind every team, because there's so much you can dive into, but it really did just feel like there was so much action going on. We didn't really get a chance to say, you know, why are these teams doing this? Why did they go for the double? There was situations, you know, in that situation, for instance, we had 4 teams all very close together in the standings. Not going for a double would have been maybe optimal for some of the teams that were in lower positions there. So yeah, I'd love to go back and find out and sort of pick the brains of those players.
Or even going through the earlier phases, going from that, we've ended up with every team realistically stuck on the outskirts, fighting primarily around Villa and the office blocks, and it was a real difficult moment. You always felt that teams were very close to each other. There's a lot of pressure constantly on our sides coming into it, and that was, I think, a really high-octane matchup for these teams going into it. I enjoyed that very much going, but honestly, the fact is that double and being able to hold on to that, a massive change in that phase 3, and a big collapse on that opening vault changed the scape of it. I think you put it perfectly, Jerry. That is just the finals.
And I want to give a shout out to Saints 1. Of course, they were the favourites going into this group, and they've already kind of staked their position there. After a really chaotic ending, I think they were the only team that didn't wipe. So a very deserved final cash out for them. They were there from the very start, and they may have had to steal it back, but they defended their cash out very, very nicely. So yeah, they get that first place finish. We've got now, of course, the next map coming up. It was at the bottom of my screen, and I missed it. Is it Nozomi Citadel, or am I losing my mind?
I believe it is.
Very exciting. So. All right, so Nozomi Citadel up next, and Whippet, I don't know about you, but whenever I queue World Tour at the moment, this map just doesn't come up. I really want it. I want to be playing the new map as much as possible, but it just hasn't happened to me yet. So I think I've gotten to cast it more than I played it, which is crazy, because I've only cast 1 Playday so far. So maybe I just need to up my gamer hours. It's a bit pathetic, to be honest.
I feel like I'm the opposite, actually. I ran into this busy every time I've queued up going into World Tour. I'm stuck with this and Kyoto with suspended structures every single time I boot up World Tour. So I'll take this option. One of my favorite maps right now going into it, from the aesthetics to the gameplay, the level of verticality. Jerry, cannot wait to dive into this one. So Jerry, get ready for this one. We go to Citadel Mizuno. How are you feeling about this after what we saw?
I love it. I'm a big fan of the map, despite how little I've gotten to play it. It feels really fun. It feels like, you know, expansive. Finally, we get another map with very tall buildings to play around in. And it has that, you know, I love the vibe of Cis Horizon, and this has that. Well, it has half of that, of course, it being CNS and Via split down the middle. As we watch right now, someone, and well, I say someone, pretty much everyone heading towards Vault 1. An interesting set of spawns here. I think Saints 1 might want to think twice about going in tight here, but no, I have misread the situation. This is just a 2 versus 2, as you would expect from the spawns in this game. So it is Makeshift versus Saints 1 on this first engagement.
Some damage chipped off towards someone, but he's going to try and dash away from this. Box will get lobbed away. Unfortunately, the Pike does claim him. Oh, and Paris shuts that down. And that's going to be some early damage done from Makeshift. They're going to be able to collect one more. I think Saints 1, the victors from our previous outing at Skyway Stadium, the first to fall from this Gamblers, will follow them into the grave as well. And that's going to be a great start. Should be a free plug, or will be a free plug with both these teams standing. A and B all active now. Their defense is beginning. NDA will be holding on towards B at this stage. Already, as we get ready for these respawns, Gamblers back in the fray. Looks like they're going to spawn close for that B hole. Yeah,
and we've got the double barrel. We were hoping to see this. Devil's Work, not unaccustomed to this weapon. And it did make a bit of an appearance last week as well. So I'm glad to see it. Really lethal in the right hands. And Devil's Work is the right hands. This is a light player that is very capable. But we have NDA right now defending from above. We expect some ice fishing to begin at any point. There's that hole opened up, but nothing beneath it for now. On the other side, it looks as though Makeshift beginning their defense of A quite well, as they've already found 2 kills. And we have an attempted steal, but of course it's just a bit of a bait from Devil's Work. He knows the threat that lurks above.
And they have that lock bolt ready in the hands of OJ, just ready to dive for this one. They'll have a D-man locked in ready, just waiting for their time. And this is going to be a massive advantage because they can play the floor above, and the time is going to be their ally. Realistically, if you're a side of Gamblers, you have to make a decision whether you want to dive into this one, make a play, or drop it further down. And that's what they'll do. They'll try and use that to get this to stick. This will force a dive from NDA, and they'll try and push into it. They haven't committed all the way down yet. Still playing with a high ground. This is going to force a skirmish on this second floor, and they're going to make something happen. They're just waiting, and the longer they wait, the better the defense get, and your double barrel can't work at that range. That's going to be a worst-case scenario. Lockball shuts down. Devil's Work has nothing to work with right now, and they'll try and play a very dangerous game. They have to get a dive in. We're in the final quarter of that B timer. The gateway upstairs going a great defense. NDA have this completely locked down.
This is exceptional movement and positioning from NDA, but finally they have to commit, and they've fallen into the trap. It took a while, but NDA, they're going to fall victim to some of the Gamblers' guns, but they are doing a good job. Devil's Work returns fire onto Norton, and it's just a 1 versus 2 now. Down goes OG, and after so long, they finally get the steal. Is it enough time? I think it is.
It's not. No.
Just about. Wow. Last possible second. How patient was that from Gamblers?
That was amazing from Gamblers, and that's going to be a massive kind of stylistic approach and change that we saw from Skyway Stadium. Skyway was very aggressive. Teams are all kind of somewhat in a furball constantly with this combat, but this time they had to play a very more strategic, tactical approach. Not able to commit into the final moments, and luckily, there's no spare time to work with to get that job done. Vault 4 will get touched. That's going to get opened up by the side of Gamblers. Not going to make a good impact here again. Model in the hands of a medium player here. Jump pad up to try and get that top control. 1 burst of damage straight in the back of one player. Just looking to toy around that movement so far. They're baiting the dive in the close range quarters. That model will be superior in.
Yeah, Model's kind of become the go-to burst damage option for mediums. But we'll get back onto that because there's a fight going on. Devil's Work finding kills. Kiriki following up the rear here, but he's really just supporting. Finally gets the kill on Alone in Paris, who's causing some problems. But now they have to deal with the rest of Makeshift. Velo finally goes down there. And here comes the res coming out onto Folin. They do not have control of the box as it stands. Nope, they should do. Of course, there's been 2 wipes in the server. NDA already getting started on Cash Out D. We have 2 relatively nearby objectives right now being held by the orange and red teams. And I'm intrigued by the fact that, of course, Gamblers, I was looking at their kills. I was like, Gamblers don't have many kills, but that's, you know, we just saw exactly why, because they managed to collect a cash out for themselves, only taking 1 team fight.
Oh, well, I'm not going to lie, Jerry. My brain is somewhat fried from this, and I've only just zoned back into reality, unfortunately.
Well, Makeshift are zoning back in on the objective right now. They're finding Cash Out C. They're going to go for a play from beneath, and they do that. They bring it down, but of course, we know that Gamblers will have accounted for this. They create that angle above. They decide to fall off the steal here. It's not worth sticking it and costing yourself that body. Decent RPG, chunks one of the players. Can they chase down? No. Kiriki able to recover. And they're just posturing, just prodding, just probing. But that's a great winch. Doesn't quite pull him all the way, though. Much better winch from Folin. Takes Velo in and finally dealt the final blow by Kiriki there. Makeshift now struggling. Alone in Paris is alone in the dark. Kiriki will find him. The Pikes really making a difference in these team fights. But it's Makeshift that have to try once more here as Gamblers go another step closer to securing that cash out.
That Pike has been, honestly, one of the things that I've noticed going into this one, as you mentioned earlier on Skyway's team, that Pike has slowly been creeping his way back into it. The damage range, that option it gives teams is so effective. In that medium range, it can be effective as well. It does take a bit more of a skilled hand when you get a little bit up close and personal with it. Hop on board here with Mickey. Upstairs he goes to spot one. The Goo's going to be perfect to negate that damage for the time being. How cautious that play upstairs, realizing the Gamblers will want to hold that top control. The Dome Shield should be perfect. Glitch is even better for. He'll take some damage. And he's going to make that one stick. A huge play from the side of Mickey. Correction, no, he didn't get that one done.
So close, but they've at least baited a really tight engagement here. Going outside, though, they have to deal with more teams as the pink team of Makeshift have gotten their hands in on the action. Sugi picks up tons of kills, but they never had a hope of getting the steal. It's there to cause problems for Saints 1. Unfortunately, Makeshift and Saints 1 are the teams that are chasing this game, so Saints 1 are going to feel a little bit soured by that approach.
Great plays going into this phase, and honestly, this is why I love this game, Jerry. It's just been blink and you miss at action. Plug out towards B does happen. NDA do get that one locked down. A great position for them. Vault 6 is open. Positioning is going to be Gamblers in close proximity to it. We'll hop on board with Devil's work. He's got a gateway to try and make this stick. Does still have that double barrel in hand, as we mentioned earlier. So the real question is, as they come towards him, he's going to play up close and personal around this glitch grenade to try and open things up and gets the hit marker. But he's going to wait play and will hold around this door frame. Force players to walk from that 90 degree. He's going to dive on in, trying to use that gateway best he can to utilize it. And he'll try and escape with it. One chunk of damage done from that model. Not enough to be too much to write home about. He'll dive, he'll chase, he'll twist and turn, he'll go around the outside, but unfortunately can't stop that plug. And that's going to be locked in.
Velo finds the kill, though, onto Devil's work. And this is a lot of 1v1s taking place. Oh, he smells blood in the water. It's in the sky, in fact, as Kiriki skeet shot out of midair. And that leaves only Folin left to try and take this. I think he'll think better of it. Instead of going for the steal, he's going to try and regroup. At the moment, that cash out in the hands of Saints 1. Did they get a cheeky steal off the back of that? They've been wiped. Nope, sorry, my mistake. Makeshift still have that, and they are defending it very cleanly. Saints 1 will be spawning back in shortly. NDA have their third cash out in a row to defend. They'll be very comfortable here. On the other side of the map, doesn't seem like anyone's challenging them. Oh, that might change, though.
It feels ominously quiet. APS mounted on that goo canister as well, just to try and dive things in. Just trying to posture things up, hop on board here with Mickey. They don't have a lot of time to make this one work, so Saints 1, if they want to get this steal, we got a minute left to work with, 30 seconds in overtime and change. They'll dive in with that lockball. It's going to limit that mobility, force them into their standard ground engagement, stuck with that mid-air inaccuracy with that FCAR, not able to try and work that, and just rubber banding himself off that lockbolt. Has time to try and make this one stick and should be able to do so if the cover is good, but the DMAT's even better.
Oh, he's standing on it!
Straight down, but he's going to stick it! He surfs it all the way down! And a great steal from Saints 1. They'll walk away with a massive heist, and they get themselves in the second place. And they have time to still work with 30 seconds. Might be a little bit of a last gasp if they can try and steal A. Long way to go.
Importantly, they knocked NDA down from first into third. That is their key rivals in this group. But right now, we're looking at the battle for first place. Gamblers still in this, defending their point. They have to worry about the possibility of Makeshift coming into steam. There's a great winch through the wall. It's going to cause problems. Makeshift have to go and take that fight, but they're losing it as Kiriki finds the kill. In comes Saints 1, though. They have an opportunity. They're winning a few fights, but losing more. Unfortunately, it's only up to 1 million now. I don't think he can stick the steal. Last player from NDA spawns in and tries to get the steal last second, but the timer is in the favor of Gamblers, who take the win.
Gamblers get that one done. An insane final collapse that last 20 seconds and a huge team fight. Everyone arriving late. But let's just talk about it, Jerry. That steal, riding the cash out, down from the floor. The DMAT couldn't save the day. Saints 1 get a massive steal and a massive boost to their points tally. They get themselves moved up to P2 in our standings, and you got to say, that all comes down just to the confidence to stick that steal when everything looked a little bit dire.
It's unbelievable. The bravery of Mickey. Only 2 kills in the game. He bottom fragged, but that was the play that defined the lobby. He managed to push his team up from last into second there. Make a huge difference. But, of course, we have to give some credit to the Gamblers, who found themselves in plenty of fights throughout the whole game. Top fragged across the lobby and came out with the big money as well. So a huge jump up for the Gamblers, who started the day in 9th seed, can expect to be climbing if they can continue to replicate that kind of form against some heavy hitters in NDA and Saints 1. So yeah, the only real thing right now is that we're not seeing Makeshift make that change that we really hope that they can do.
No, it's unfortunate again, Makeshift, where they were sitting towards the bottom side of the standings, and they've just not been able to have, I think, that impact that we would have wanted from them to try and dive and make that significant standings. They've been towards the bottom half of each and every match that we had so far. So there is still time for that to change, of course, this Playday, but right now I think this is not quite getting to the moment where it's alarm bells ringing for this side. They just need a few more results to go their way, and whether that's from decision making or just picking the right fights, or even just hoping the tide of battle can swing their favor, something needs to change for them here in this Playday.
It absolutely does. Now, we've seen quite a lot of Pike action with it, and there's something that's been really exciting to see develop is not just in these teams, but there's plenty of teams throughout EU that have started to adopt this idea of having a core of your light and your heavy operating as a unit, especially since that H+ Infuser has come into play, and having the Pike operate as your kind of off-angle player. What do you think about that? We saw some really neat moves. I'm thinking particularly Gambler's Steal very early on, where they were patient, they had the DMAT play, and they had the core of Devil's Work, and I believe it would be Folin as the heavy on that side, to sort of play around and bait as much aggression as possible. It's exciting. Is it something that you've seen a lot of in ranked play or anything like that, or is it purely a pro strat at the moment that's yet to trickle down?
I've seen a little bit more prevalence in my matches going into having the Pike. Now, of course, I'm nowhere near the level of the guys that we're casting here, but just from a concept idea, the idea that your light and medium, or light and heavy are going to work in tandem, that's going to get a massive amount of utility benefit from your H+ Infuser. You're going to want to commit that to your heavy every single time in those massive fights, and that's going to really help the team move in that. And now having the option to have someone further back with that range, scoring massive chunk and chip damage that's in a lot of times uncontestable by a lot of teams' loadouts. You know, if you're a heavy against a Pike, you got a Shack 50 in your hands. You're not competing against a Pike at that significant range, and you're going to lose that, or lose a significant amount of your HP for that. So Devil's Work, actually, going to go a little bit more ranged option for that, like this time around. ARN getting brought out from it, but I'm a huge a fan of the addition of the Pike to a lot of these teams from that medium style. I think it's fantastic, and honestly, the fact is you can burst people down and provide a little bit of that technical hand when things get up close and personal.
Here we go, on to Seoul, one of the most punishing maps in my opinion in terms of objective placement, and you can see already the strategy coming out from Gamblers. They're deciding to head straight on over to the objective to defend it, make sure they get this plug. And they have to fight off the immediate aggression of NDA. This lockbolt, though, is huge and deadly. Unfortunately, oh wow, the lockbolt actually saves Kiriki from plummeting to his death, buys him a moment to set that goo underneath him. He just needs to wait for a jump pad, but that could be a while. He's effectively left his team in a 2 versus 3. The steal is going to be successful, potentially. Yes, it is, from Airshoe. And that is going to be now the opportunity for the rest of NDA to collect those kills. Kiriki has made it back in, but at the expense of one of his teammates. Devil's Work has gone down. Kiriki does find that kill. OG, though, onto Folin, leaves Kiriki in a 1 versus 2 here.
Norton should get this hand res off, and does so. Kiriki, as you mentioned, is the last one standing. He'll try and retreat from the time being, but chased down, and well, they sense blood in the water. The goo will buy you some time, but unfortunately, it's borrowed time. Shut down. Norton gets that, and the confirmation is there. NDA get that team wipe, and Gamblers have been slain. Lots of damage done. Fighting verticality here with your F-car is not too easy. Gateway has been deployed. He'll dive up. Great chunk damage from that RPG. Unfortunately, has to take that zip line up. Wasn't able to connect off that launch pad. And he'll try and walk his way up. Dome shield deployed. He might be able to save that totem. Will force that defib out and does so. Someone back in the fight. Seal going off, but crane control still held.
Oh, the smoke.
The goo is perfect.
Is this smoke something that someone is running? It may well be. Something that we quite often see in ranked play is that smoke grenade to use as visual cover for a steal. It's worked very nicely for Saints 1. It is not in the pocket of someone, so just finding a handy little smoke barrel, it would seem, and deploying it at the opportune moment. They have that goo cover as well, and that's now forced a makeshift to try and retake. A million, though, finding a kill onto Velo means that they are short-staffed. Now so are Saints 1, a 2 versus 2, as they're fighting at range across these angles. Gamblers, though, are coming into construction as a full squad and may stand to benefit from all of this. Norton as well is lurking. Everyone's getting in on the action. Of course, NDA have a free cash out over by Bulbuls. They might as well come here for try and get some kills if they can.
I mean, why not? It's just going to be 3 points and they can collect anything at this stage. And Saints 1 realistically have A at this point, locked down from it. All 3 players still standing. Well, a million doesn't last too much longer. Someone of the curse is alone in Paris. Does find him with that pike. They'll dive in. The goo's going to be great cover. And I think I spoke a little bit too soon. Velo will try and stick this minus barrier in the safety of the dome shield as well. He will get it done. Just about locks it out. A great steal. And that's going to be a moment from Makeshift to be able to collect themselves. The very first cash out here in phase 1. MDA collect the other one in a great moment. Makeshift have a lifeline, have a pulse here in Seoul.
They did the hard part easily. That was so funny. They couldn't defend from one team, but they managed to defend and re-steal from about 3. That's impressive. We have a cash out now started in Hospital, and if you've seen Seoul before, you know how this often plays out. However, we're watching Norton managing to cross the bridge unscathed with a gateway in pocket, and so the approach on the Hospital site may not be as difficult as it often is. Saints 1 actually taking the flak here as they are the first party to enter. They just cross green very quickly. Mickey getting the res on someone, so this will be a clean 3 versus 3 now with a little bit of health and utility wasted for Saints 1, but the time will be the best medic for that. They will find their opposition here. Gamblers taking flak from both directions. Kiriki finds that res, but Folin's taken down. Lots of trades here. Gamblers coming out on top. Emilian, the last one alive, as the heals come through. But now this is a perfect opportunity for NDA to strike.
Able to heal through that damage of the infuse in the mix of that one. NDA will just profiteer completely from this. They'll be able to collect this one for essentially free. And they get themselves in a great position. Makeshift on the other side as well. Have D relatively free. Kiriki, the last one standing from Gamblers, waiting to try and recover his team, falling back, and Totem going for a little bit of a dance. Unfortunately, Kiriki will take some chip damage away from this. And Makeshift, we mentioned going before we dove into this map that they needed to make something change, and whether it's just this map suits them a little bit better, or they realize that their decision making has to lock in just a little bit. They find themselves just around the corner, almost half of a timer away.
Very funny that Folin has been here the whole time, just hiding, waiting for his team to coin in. He's finally freed from his prison by Kiriki, who then decides that they're going to take the vertical approach instead. They haven't got much time here, maybe about 25 seconds to get the kills and the steal. So NDA are appropriately kiting. In fact, no, they're bunkered up, they're behind him. And that is a good read. The DMAT perfectly exposes them, but with a parting shot, OG leaves behind a lockbolt. That buys his teammates enough time to Scarpa and to kite away. And this could be huge because Kiriki can now get into a position beneath to get that DMAT. He drops it. He's wasted possibly enough time here. And I think that Gamblers know it. They try to stick that steal at the last moment, but they realize it's all for naught. Kiriki picks up a kill on the way out. Airshoe's still alive somewhere, but NDA come out with the cash.
That lockbolt from OG, just enough to delay, just long enough in combination with that. You can't destroy that pad just in time. The 9-3 doesn't have that damage. Mickey will collect that one for essentially free. The defib on Sugi is instantaneously from Alone in Paris. Great hook, pulls him in towards that dome, does get that confirmation, and D should get locked out here by Saints 1. The last one standing from Makeshift does get shut down. Velo has been slain. Mickey will get that kill credit, and it will be a cash out locked in from the side of Saints 1. Find themselves, though, just inside of P3, just shy, 1,500 or so of P2. Looking to try and dive in this one, so all still to play for. And NDA in that top spot, 5.5k clear at this stage. And some early damage done. Looks like Gamblers, worse for wear. Kiriki on that medium, taking an absolute beating. Someone from the side of Saints 1, not doing too healthy either.
Yeah, Gamblers, after winning the last map as well, now find themselves last place. They're guarding B. This might be smart because, of course, that is the quickest route for 5 to go to, but I believe Norton has smelt that and is giving the heads up to his team. Maybe it'll be wise not to go straight for B. Maybe they want to go for construction, but of course they'll meet a lot more resistance on the way there. They are going to stick to the plan, go straight through. Oh, but the glitch grenade takes him out, separates him from his team, and it's a 3 versus 2 on the point. Surely they can win this. OG taken down, Airshoe taken down. Norton comes in, but of course it's too late. Finds 2, in fact. Takes it back to a 1 versus 1. How has he done that? It's only Devil's Work and Norton, the 2 lights, both on a smidgen of HP. Devil's Work has the opportunity to stick a res, though. Will he do so? Yes, he does, and he loses his life for it. Norton! How has he done that? The 1 versus 3, and he's going to flip this box, giving NDA another route to first place.
Absolutely. It looked like it was going to be an absolute disaster class separated from that glitch grenade, but he makes it work, wins his ones, and that's going to be the power of an aimer behind an ARN. Lands his shot to the great hook, pulls this box straight out in towards the open. They can play with a high ground advantage at this point. Poison canister as well deployed just to give them that extra bit of insurance. And we're halfway through the capture of B, A trailing behind just a little bit. So we will have 27 seconds of overtime when this 1 minute concludes. And still lots to play for. We have Gamblers who can still make a late dive in to get a huge benefit to their cash, and they're queuing up to get some pressure on towards NDA. They'll dive up to the billboard to try and get some early vision, and that lockfall's been so effective in the hands of OG so far, but he'll try and keep his life intact as he'll take a beating from it. He'll have to dive, half HP to work with, and they're going to lose that high ground advantage, but they can play inside, and with this reposition of this cash out, they've got a great chance of holding on.
This is going to be a tough steal, though, outside, like you say. A very good chance of holding on for NDA. But if Makeshift land this would put them in first place above Saints 1. It looks like they might do it as well. The stick is there. Great play from Velo, but now he's been winched in. Surely he's out for count. He is. Airshoe takes him down. Sugi and Alone in Paris left to hold here. A second, a third barricade, a fourth barricade comes out to try and defend this take back. But Ollie is taking some flack, and Sugi is the one to find the kills. A wipe comes out for Makeshift against NDA. They're going to stick it. They're going to hold on for first place. Saints 1 now holding with 30 seconds left, but the steal is flipped against them. That's the Gamblers taking it out of their control. We've seen 2 steals in the past 10 seconds with it. Who's going to hold on for the last 20?
Well, we've got like just over 15 seconds now to go with, and everyone converges straight on the 7-second steal. So this is going to be an absolute dive to the finish line, and it should be all but guaranteed at this stage. With steal going out in the distance, Dome Shield trying to dive in, lockfall's perfect. And that will be everything locked out nicely, as I believe Gamblers do get themselves an all-deserved final cash out, and they get themselves that #1 seed.
Quick correction, Gamblers managed to find second place after that.
Sorry.
It is a makeshift that put themselves in first against all odds as well. This is the team we wanted to step up. They've done exactly that. Huge take from them. You've got to give some credit to Sugi for the 2 kills he managed to secure after that steal. Really huge plays. 6 kills for him, topping the lobby. Someone as well with 6 kills. Emilian, in fact, sorry, is the top of the lobby, but doesn't mean anything. If you come bottom for the cash, only 10 points in the standings for Saints 1. That is one of their lowest placements all season. Well, okay. They played like this on last Wednesday. They played very, very well on Saturday, and now they might be slipping into their Wednesday form again with it.
The Wednesday masterclass. It's the Wednesday Playday buff for them going into it. But I think that's what we wanted to see from Makeshift coming in this one. That we did mention that they're lower in the standings. I believe they were sat 11th in the global in the European standings for this, and they needed to make a massive change, and they done so, getting a huge 100 points from that #1 position. And they played a much better game, and they were really cohesive as a unit going into it. I think their decision making was perfect. I think the ultimate coin toss of the finals worked in their favor as well. Lots of action ended up on the opposite cash out, giving them a little bit of space to breathe, especially for that opening phase. But I think they played incredibly well, and they deserved that #1 spot completely.
Absolutely. So now we have finally Velo, Sugi, and Lone in Paris. Like we said, these are talented players. They've really impressed us in the last season. They've off to a very slow start. This is the momentum that they will want to keep. They are still in a very tough group. All right, this is a stacked group, to be quite honest with you. Even the Gamblers in ninth, I would have expected to be pushing, for the top half finishes at the end of this season. So yeah, in my mind, this is a much more stacked group than it appears on paper. Now, we're heading to Fortune Stadium, Whippet. There is a lot of favour for this map amongst the caster community, amongst the general community. I want to hear your unique take on it.
I feel like you're saying that because you've played enough World Tour to know about my exact opinion. That Halto area is the bane of my existence. I hate that high rise. I hate it with a passion. It gives me shivers every time I see it. But I am sure it will deliver. The level of verticality here is going to give teams such incredible options. And seeing how everyone has played so far, I cannot wait to watch how this one works out. It's up there, though, in my favourite maps, I will say, Jared.
There we go. There it is. We have our foibles. Yeah, we have our foibles about this map. But in general, everyone loves it. It's so good.
It's perfect, except for the massive orange bit.
Not a Hotel fan then. Well, I mean, look, if the sun burns out, then you're going to come crying to Hotel. That's all I'm saying. So, here we go.
I do need to get my insurance, so you're right.
Makeshift at the top of the Hotel Tower at the moment, with NDA looking to surge up. They've got that zip line to help guide them. They don't want to take it all the way, though. It would expose them quite drastically. Very patient here. On the other side, we have a full fight going on, and there's a 1 versus 1 between Devil's Work and someone, which often happens. Devil's Work has come on top. He wins the light fight. But over here, we barely got started. Sugi was an early pick, though. That's going to mean Makeshift will struggle to hold their position. It's allowed NDA to slip on through and deliver that box straight onto the corner of the map. That lower hull tower area. He may find an opening here as well. That's Velo sticking out his head. Oh, I think he'll come to regret this.
Oh, no. Absolute disaster. The H+ can only keep you alive for a little bit too long. Dives around, unfortunately, red barrel in the face, but he's just going to get pulled straight in the lion's den. Torn asunder from it. Sugi will find one on towards Norton. Makeshift will get themselves fully wiped in the midst of this, unfortunately.
Some revenge for the end of last game there. NDA finally. It's not the fight that you wanted to win if you had to pick a pair out of the pair of them, but that's the fight that they've taken. Now we have Emilian, one of the most talented heavies. Unfortunately, we watch him as he's taken down by Folin. Rocking that SA-12, Devil's Work and Kiriki pile in. A killer piece for everyone on the Gamblers. Wiping out Saints 1 this first fight. Finding cash out A. Makeshift, though, have an interesting spawn on the other side. And they may be able to jump straight at them if Gamblers aren't ready for it. And they aren't.
Oh, that's an absolute nightmare to find yourself in. A great hook, and Sugi's going to collect that one on the Folin. Devil's Work is trying to make a dive in. Going to pull off the steal just in time. Devil's Work does battle to get some top control. Pitch grenade goes out. Don't know if I hit its mark, though, onto the heavy. They'll try and make this steal. Devil's Work will dive in. Has to try and get this one. Oh, Sugi has your correction. Get that H+ diffuser. And will be a great steal there. Makeshift get themselves a massive steal, and they're going to lock that one out. Pike in hands of Alone in Paris. Trying to fight for that top for control. Two players on close proximity to that staircase.
I think we just saw Kiriki spend his final coin for the round, which is quite shocking for something so early. They're really committed to taking down Makeshift here on this A point, but you can see the defense being set up by Makeshift. There's layers upon layers of it right now. Kiriki opens that sight line, but it's winched out of position here. Sticking out the goo, trying to hope that it will contain the flak, but no, the shots find their way through, as does the glitch, and that forces him off. I think Makeshift have probably done enough here to fend off the Gamblers on their approach, or rather, yes, to fend off the Gamblers on their approach. The Gamblers are losing bodies fast. Kiriki and Devil's Work going down. And that is the wipe. Once again, Sugi contributing heavily. Makeshift doing some great work here. They may have lost their first fight against NDA, but when they got that spawn on the other side of the map, they benefited hugely.
They really have. They've come alive in this second set of fights. And you mentioned the coin eco there. Give me, or Jerry.
We're going to expose you. One more and I'll expose you. I'll explain why that's happening.
It's a force of habit, unfortunately, Jerry. I will try. Yeah, listen, both your names start with G. I'm allowed a little bit of leeway from time
That's
to
true.
time.
Okay, fine. That excuse, that buys you one free pass. You don't get to use that one again.
Thank you. Gateway set to try and get straight into the assault area. I don't think that second part of the portal did connect, so they'll have to use the old-fashioned way. They'll have to do it. Don't fall for the fake pad. Just trying to get herself around, and that's going to be a plug straight into deep. Just waiting.
Oh, goodness
He
me.
saw it though. He witnessed it, walked around it, still hit it. Perfection.
Reposition here from Gamblers as they try and get that high ground. They're not quite landing it, unfortunately. They're trying to go through.
Oh,
there we
like
go. Just need a bit of extra work on the D-mat there to get the positioning. Of course, they want to be above the point here. Bit of ice fishing. Collects nothing. I'm going to go again.
Nothing.
This is just a very slow approach here, but it's methodical from the Gamblers.
I mean, this is the right approach to work with. You've got so many layers of verticality just to begin to work your way through this, and the defense should be solid. Held on by Makeshift. They've gone below. They'll drop it. I believe that was a C4 that pulled it, and it was. That was going to be a great one. Velo will be credited for that. The RPG ready to try and find some chip damage, and I think they're very cautious of the fact that Makeshift are going to play this down below. Kiriki will attempt the second go at the steal. Has a H+ infuser. They'll drop it yet again. Massive damage done, chipped away, but Makeshift lose Sugi early. Velo's going to be very much wounded in this early stage of the fight. Shut down quickly, and alone in power as well, as his namesake would suggest. Is all alone. The side of Makeshift, this steal should go off, and he will run. He'll try and kite as long as he can. They haven't touched for the steal just yet. They will dive into it now, and well, that is in a nightmare and a collection of goo. Alone in power still get shut down by Paul, and eventually the shotgun rips him to pieces. There will be a nice little steal collected from the side of Gamblers.
I'm going to shout out Kiriki for some play there in a minute, but we've got maybe 25 seconds left on this cash out. As someone has found the kill that will open up the opportunity to go for a steal. In goes OG, but Emilian gets the better of him, and the steal is stuck up above. Not a wipe, but effectively so, as Norton is left on a smidgen of HP. The only light is being chased down. Someone finally collects him. That's a wipe against NDA Saints 1 finding that steal. And now, I want to go back and praise Kiriki for some of his smart work on that prior cash out. Just the final attempted steal, when it got dropped down, he made sure that he was positioned on a box that would not be dropped down by a dematerializer. Quite often when you're going for that stall play from beneath, you want to collect a sneaky player that's going for the steal on the drop. You want to get that free kill, but he made sure he stayed alive even despite that delay, and was able to leverage his position afterwards to get the kills for his team. So really nice just micro decisions being made here by Gamblers on their approaches, on their very methodical approaches, which we've seen multiple times now to collect these steals. It's given them a nice, comfortable second place, but Saints 1 still in control of this game.
With 2 minutes left to work with and likely some overtime on the table, still time to push into that #1 spot from the Gamblers. They want to get themselves as much as they can and find themselves in a gunfight here. That's going to be someone diving straight in, running into a bit of chaos. And going to be a very scrappy fight around Vault 5. I believe it's already darted away. But in the distance, Makeshift have got themselves all the way to cash out A. They'll collect that plug money as well, and they're very much on an island of relevancy by themselves. They can sit and by the time as the 3 remaining teams scrap and fight all the way by Holto Towers, and it will be an absolute mess. NDA reduced to a single player. That will be Ersu. Just trying to survive and bide their time best they can. 2 coins available on both their teammates, so this will be the time to use them now. 5 and 15 seconds left on that revival. Defib 1 on the OG, and try and dive this one. Try and stop that plug best they can. And they will do.
Velo really gambling there, going for the plug without the support of his team. Taken out by Saints 1, who then get their own plug, putting them well ahead. Gamblers elsewhere have gotten a free pass on cash out A. Already half the timer elapsed there. They might be in a very comfortable second place spot by the end of this. Looks like everyone is more concerned with cash out B as it stands. We'll wait to see what the spawns say about that though as well. Out goes the Lockbolt and the Winch. A great rematerialize to protect his team from Mickey. But now they have to try and collect from beneath. There's 2 layers to cut through. It does so just that. And then it hits the bounce pad. Great defense set up here by Saints 1. But can they withstand the tide of bodies?
Unfortunately, it's not going to hit that bounce pad again. Actually, I think it's going to get a little bit uncomfortable. We'll get displaced. They do pick that one up and move it through that wall after that DMAT successfully delays more time. Damage done to OG as well. Wounded teammate just down below, charging up into this. Gonna be fighting around this stairwell. Gonna be a difficult fight to take one. That will be someone the first to fall in the midst of this chaos. Great goo grenade to try and block up the staircase and make things as uncomfortable as possible. Stuck on the mid-level of this staircase and hold out towers. Does get blown up and dropped all the way down. In the midst of all this chaos, Cash Out A is essentially free from the side of Gamblers. So everything for the final 40-50 seconds will scramble around B. An attempted seal does not connect. And NDA, well, they still have control of it for now. Won't last too much longer as everyone scrambles to get their hands on this final 18,000 left in the cash.
Makeshift came in and tried to deny that steal, but they got the kills. That's what matters, and now they flip the box in their favor, once again coming out from nowhere. But unfortunately, this only puts them in a position to come in third. They need to find a few more kills and make sure that Saints 1 don't get any. If they're going to try and surmount them, they start with a kill against their opposition in Saints 1 as well. But they have to go for the kills straight away right now. They have to commit to it. And I don't see enough in my kill feed. Sugi finds one onto Kiriki. They're slowly closing that back gap, but only about 10 seconds left on the timer. In come the whole of NDA, offering up their bodies. Kills are plenty here, but unfortunately, they're not going in the way of Makeshift. They're going against them. Makeshift wiped when they needed only 3 to overtake Saints 1. Instead, their final cash out only nets them third place. Gamblers walking away with it after a very quiet final phase for them. Another first place finish.
Massive from the Gamblers, and I think you put it perfectly, Jerry. It was just a little bit of a quiet one for them. They kind of ride it out to victory in that final stage, so they collect themselves a nice 44,500 at the end of that. And well, Makeshift, they've come third. The cash out wasn't enough to get them over the finish line, only by around 1,500. They just got a little bit more. They could have been in that second place, but a massive step up from what we saw from them. They get themselves a victory in the previous. They come third here. Nice points tally kind of building up from Makeshift, the team that we commented just because of their positioning lower in the standings. They needed this to be a decent tally from this group.
Yeah. So we make our way to our final map here of Monaco. And so far, I have to admit, I didn't get all of my notes in, but so far, out of the 3 games that I've taken full notes for, we've seen NDA come third, and fourth in a row. And that's a bit worrying, right? This is a team that started the day in 4th place. Top seeded in this group, you could argue. You know, Saints 1 maybe in 5th could be given that kind of favourites moniker, despite the fact that they're in 5th. But I would have been expecting NDA to do a lot better, and they really haven't found their mojo today so far with it.
I mean, Saints 1 will be incredibly thankful for that. If they can just outscore them here, they're going to massively rise in the standings. And, you know, again, they're 4th and 5th respectively in those standings. Saints 1 holding that 4th place position at the beginning of our play day. Any daylight they can get between NDA, because they're in direct competition being in each other's group, is going to be massively beneficial. Just growing that distance as much is going to be their main goal for it. But Jerry, as we get ready to dive into Monaco, what's our expectation for this one? We've seen these teams go head-to-head so far. We get ready for our final map here. How are you feeling for this one? Any brave predictions?
Ooh, well, I am absolutely not predicting anything. There have been so many different winners. We've seen Makeshift, Saints 1 and Gamblers all take maps. NDA, I think, the only team that haven't, for certain. And they could absolutely take it out here. Like they're a team that I could expect to win Monaco on any given day. So I really do think bets are off for this, unfortunately. Folin starting out just a little bit behind the rest of his team. He'll catch up for sure. And we head on into Monaco. Standard issue. Looks like Cash Out 2 is going to be fought over by Gamblers and Makeshift.
I'm expecting Makeshift to really dive into this one. This is going to be a very important matchup for them. They got a 1st place and a 3rd place finish. If they can get themselves 1st or 2nd, it'll be a great tally for them. Early information gathered from that jump pad. That's going to be Lone and Paris are on board with at this point. And with the pike in hand, these rooftops are going to be an incredibly fun hunting ground to work with. You can get a great utility out of that rifle. Chip damage from a distance. You can make yourself very uncontestable. So far playing separate from his team down below in one of the many buildings around the streets of Monte Carlo. We'll just see that rooftop play, and it looks like Folin very much cautious, and Gamblers are aware that threat is lurking from them. Masugi pops up to try and find it. And Cash Out 2 has been a tentative approach from both these teams at this early stage. We'll dive into the loft to get that control. The gateway should be perfect here. They'll grab that box, but no, pulled away on the last second. And Velo's going to get a huge play. Going to be a scramble now and a sprint to try and find it. And this should force the opening engagement. Don't know if that gateway is fully active to make that work. On Goo will cover off that retreat. But everything around Vault 2 so far, absolute chaos between these two teams.
It's going the way of Makeshift, though, in the long run. Kiriki, the last one standing here, as we see 2 kills go the way of Velo and in the way of Alone in Paris. They hit that regen. At the moment, they've left their light to go and do the delivery work, allowing this 2 versus 1 to take place in the building. And it looks like they've finally pinned him down. Down goes Kiriki. And that's a long stagger for the Gamblers as well, as he was really counting on those coins to get them back in the game.
This is going to be really interesting now, as we're going to look at NDA. They're almost halfway, actually over halfway through their cash out stage. So if you're only any of the teams at this stage, you're not really too keen to contest this. A fresh on-setup team out towards B. This should be a prime real estate moment, and NDA might be licking their lips to the opportunity to dive in and maybe, just maybe, cause a little bit of chaos if they get the opportunity to dive into B after their cash out is completed from this. A massive DMATs have been deployed to open up this Monaco house. And they have a great angle to work with. It's just nestled by the bottom of the staircase. The opening is there, but no one in close proximity just yet. No picks either way for these teams. They're biding their time. They'll drop it one more level, and this is going to be Mickey attempting to get that steal to work with. Saints 1 need this to land, and upstairs control is going to be there. That's going to be hand of Makeshift. Velo does find that opening. He'll play within that dome shield now. His teammates hunt one down. The pike up was the personal. Not great to find that damage, and the shotgun does back him up in the midst of that. Emilion will find Lone in Paris. Suki does get 1 to 9-3R. Emilion does get shut down eventually, locked down by the light player, and Makeshift hold on to B for a little bit longer. And in the distance, MDA do lock out cash out A, and they get themselves a successful opening phase with a lot of spare time to make a play out for B.
Yeah, it was good macro decision making from Saints 1, like you say, to go for that vulnerable position in B, but unfortunately they couldn't make it work. And now there's a big target on Grandma's house as everyone's converging on the only active cash out. Makeshift have still got quite a lot of work to do. It seems some teams are deciding, no, it's actually more valuable to go for that larger cash out and just get things started. We do have staggered cash outs here in Monaco as it stands. And look at that, Makeshift exuding aura. Barely even had to fight off anyone. They've just collected B for themselves, it seems.
This is actually great for Makeshift. They find themselves, and this is the point, if we see Vault 3 get plugged in relatively quickly, doubt that with the mess of 3 teams arriving, this only opens the door for Makeshift to get themselves a fairly quiet second stage. Now, with the proximity of Vault 4 besides cash out C, this does likely mean that we'll see a crossover and a bleed out between both these teams fighting for it. Already a steal arriving. Unsure the team going to be able to try and find that one, but they should be able to stick in the midst of the chaos. That will be Makeshift, and they go straight in the C from their own defensive cash out B straight to the steal on C. Great play. Gamblers losing 1. Kiriki will be lost in the midst of this action, and it is going to be a great defense and actually a bit of a window for Makeshift to set themselves up.
Wow, Makeshift have really come into their own after a sluggish start today. And now we tune back in with the rest of the lobby who seem to be ignoring them. There may be some macro at play here for certain. Obviously, NDA and Saints 1 have each other as targets at the top of that table. But, you know, this is early doors in the season. You can't allow a team like Makeshift to surge back up. And maybe it's just better to be playing the game in front of you and trying to win whatever you can. You see a kill go the way of Saints 1. That's going to force NDA to back off a little bit. But we do have some pressure mounting on Makeshift now as Gamblers are going to try a bite of this pie. Good angles being set up from distance, but look at the split here from Makeshift. They're waiting for anyone on the opposition to fall into that open net in the middle of the forest. Doesn't look like anyone's going to bite. Look at this.
I mean, this is what I like to call risk aversion. They're not going to take any chances. They're going to keep themselves nice and tucked and find themselves as much concealment and hard cover as possible. And they're just going to converge. It's going to be a bit of a pincer move. Now, as Gamblers are going to walk into towards open control, it does look like they're aware of the likelihood of this proximity. Early damage done, all done towards Velo. The dome shield won't save him. Great Glitch Grenade up top as well from the light. And it's going to be a flood of chaos. Gamblers will find themselves juiced only 1. Alone in Paris, for his namesake now all alone, trying to hold on best he can.
So
will be
close.
likely steal here. I saw that. Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, almost. It's France. We almost make those, but an attempted steal here from NDA is forced away by Gamblers. Kiriki's still present and causing problems. Makeshift benefiting here from the third party, if anything, as both of their teammates now able to coin back in, and we will not see a steal at all on Cash Out C. OG gets close, but he knows that the timer has elapsed. They try and bail back out. Maybe they can get some kills, but no, Velo takes down Norton. Makeshift seem unstoppable right now.
This is fantastic from them, and this is just the game opening up perfectly from them. Within phase one, they had a fairly uncontested... Actually, they only had realistically one team fight going in this. NDA had a free cap on the Cash Out A, and Makeshift have rolled themselves from Cash Out to Cash Out, and they're benefiting from being the beneficiary of these third parties. They're always getting the way through this. Now, we do watch Saints 1 slowly getting that Cash Out D in their favor, and the massive stagger, a benefit or a factor from that delay in their opening stages. Do mean everything's opened up here.
The fact that they're defending D and have even tapped Cash Out or Vault 5 is very funny. Someone just hiding here.
Oh no.
He decides to emerge, and there's a light right on his body.
Oh.
He picks up the box despite the fact that there's bodies all around him, immediately deleted by Sugi. But apparently... Wait, what? How did he die to Sugi? Did he come through the gateway and die to him? Either way, he lost the box. But Saints 1 should be able to defend stoutly without him anyway. They do get that Cash Out. It does still only put them in a tentative last place. But we are onto the final wave of Cash Outs here. Only 2 minutes left. And Cash Out A in control of Gamblers, who have yet to really make a splash. This could put them in first, but it could come down to the kills as well.
Incredibly close lineup from all these teams so far. Everything can turn. Real question, Jerry, though, were you expecting to see a team go for a double here from 6? Likely not with the time of that unlock. So B will be played later on in this overtime. And will we see this even be a factor at all, as A is just left completely void of life so far. Only Gamblers holding on, and well, they're going to enjoy the fact they can get as much time on this and as much time to set up as possible, as everyone else scrambles to try and make something happen out towards 6. Gonna be a great opening pick there by the heavy of Eliminum. And now, just that gateway set up, and this is going to be the opportunity that they need to try and make this one work. They'll dive in. Massive people going through this, not make it into B. A plug is there. We've got a full 1 extra minute of overtime.
Great gateway set up there by someone thinking ahead, as lights often tend to. Getting that plug down, and now everyone's going to turn their attention to A, because of course there's far less time to worry about that. They can always make an attempt here and then go for B at the last second. So we have 3 parties converging here. Of course, this is Gamblers Cash Out. As it stands, it would put them only in, I believe, 2nd place, temporarily as well. So they need to defend this stoutly. They need to get some kills. Kiriki finds one to start things off onto OG. That's going to hamper NDA's attack. But there's still a full-strength Saints 1 side bearing down, or rather, Makeshift side bearing down on them as they try and stick their skill. We've got plenty of goo, plenty of cover. That is Velo trying to hold on to it, but the winch is there. Great play as he's taking down Gamblers, though, now out for the count. They have to rely on these 2 teams fighting out for long enough. The steal is being attempted here by NDA. Out comes the glitch, but it doesn't matter to him. He's going to hold on to it. The body block is there. The H infuser is there. It's enough. The box is flipped. That puts NDA out in front, but Saints 1 still in first place if they can hold on to Cash Out B.
With 40 seconds and provisional first place in the hands of Saints 1. Time to scramble from everyone standing. But with the time of movement here, it's going to take a few extra seconds to get in position for this fight. Saints 1 can just hold on and imagine it will be very staggered from members of NDA and Gamblers, and Makeshift is going to spawn in the final 5 seconds. And through that foliage, Pike cannot find that damage. But I
that's
feel
one
that
kill.
Might just be desperation of throws at this stage.
2 kills.
This could be an opening here. This could be a disaster for the side.
If NDA get more kills, they could make their way all the way to the top. We have kills coming in all the way from Makeshift, though. The steal might be happening here by Gamblers. Can they do it at the last second? Almost, but the kills are coming through for lots of sides. NDA and Saints 1 both tied for cash at the very death. But it's Saints 1 given the victory for collecting that final Cash Out. Is it? It is. No, it's NDA.
No.
This is NDA. They pulled it off. the colors looked purple in that final victory screen, but this is NDA. Oh my god.
My.
Wow.
NDA with a massive play in that final phase to flip the first cash out, and I think just killed away the victory.
Yeah.
And they get themselves not a full 100 points for number one in our final map of this group. What a play from them here at Monaco.
Oh, I got a feel for gamblers. They've ended up in last place. How's that happened? How's that happened? They seem like they were on top for a time there. Wow. I mean, didn't I say it before the game started that NDA could come into Monaco and win it? On any given day, you cannot count anyone out in the finals. Anyone can win it. And after a really sordid day of 3 third-place finishes followed by a 4th, they finally get their victory. They finally get their 100 points. That's more than they've accumulated throughout the whole of the rest of the day.
That is, I think, a moment where it's almost I need to catch my breath after that one. NDA, a massive play. They get themselves that number 1 seed and that guy get themselves a massive tally of points in that final performance here in Monaco. Jerry, what are your closing thoughts? What we just saw?
My closing thoughts are personally, I need a better way of telling exactly who's won at the end. Like, I need more UI elements. Just throw them at me. Finals, the game, it will only improve. And embark as things crawl their way towards more esports events and some very big ones at that. We can expect that to improve. So I'm looking forward to the caster buffs. There have already been some brilliant ones this year. So hats off to what's been going on behind the scenes. But that was an incredible group. I'm going to make it less about me now. Incredible group. And I'm very glad that we've been given a really entertaining kickoff. This is only the first group of the day, Whippet. We've got 2 more whole groups, 10 games of cash out left to go. And the final group of the day as well is looking like one of the most stacked ones that we've ever seen. So, I cannot wait, Whippet. Any sort of closing remarks, any thoughts about that group before we hand it off to a break?
My biggest thing is that we saw Makeshift just, I think, play, I think, a very interesting full Playday from them. They got themselves that 1 victory, which I think is going to be a massive standing for them. And I feel that, if you know anything about me in other titles I've worked, I like to collect the strays. I like to find those teams at the bottom of the table and see their story. So I'm all in on Makeshift at this point. I want to see what they can do with the rest of the Playdays.
Very exciting. Already making an impact and making an impression on Makeshift. So let's have a look at our... Oh, can we look at our standings? Let me just get a word from our producer for a second. No, we're not going to look at our standings. We'll get to those when we come back to the break. So we'll go to a quick break, get a snack, get a drink, stay hydrated, everyone, in this hot weather, wherever you may be. It seems to be hot pretty much everywhere at the moment. And we'll be back in just a few.
jumping over hurdles. You know I loved you, let's face the facts. Taking love for granted, really wish we hadn't. Hesitate to out, did we lose track? All these feelings, I left it bleeding. And we just go back, take it back. With the ceiling, now you're leaving. How do we end up like that? 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 I can hear you hurting, trying to put the work in. Turn a blind eye, step over cracks. That's the risk we taking. Love can be mistaken, but a fight hope it doesn't last. With all these feelings, I left it bleeding. And we just go back, take it back. With the ceiling, now you're leaving. How do we end up like that? 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 How do we end up like that?
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Group B of the Pro Hub's Season 1 cash out stage. So, right here, we've got some really great teams on the lineup for you. I am Jerry, the Music Man. I'm joined by Whippet. I finally turned my air conditioning on. I'm feeling a lot less sweaty and red. Whippet, that was a really hot last group, and we should probably take a look at what it's done to the standings, shouldn't we?
We have. It's upset the standings a little bit, but of course we haven't seen all the groups in action, so take everything with a grain of salt. Saints 1 have taken that number 1 spot, and they found themselves in number 2, pushing all goats down to 3rd. Gamblers got themselves up to 6, and while Makeshift have made a small climb up towards 9th.
Yeah, decent showing from Makeshift. They did, of course, get a bunch of points from that first place finish that they managed to accumulate themselves. But, of course, as the scores get updated throughout the day, we'll get a much better sense of where things stand. Here is our Group B, though. Aimers, Vatican Esports, Bad Wi-Fi, and 200 Books are our teams. We're going to get to know them very quickly, as it seems we're almost ready to head on into the map. Expect Aimers, our current number 3 seed before the Playday began, and the top team from EU last season to make a real impact in a lobby otherwise filled with mid-of-the-pack teams that are probably hoping to make a big climb.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one thing you put perfectly gives Jerry.
Hey, there we go. All right, we're exposing you right now. So, Whippet, me and Whippet used to cast together a hell of a lot. And then he found a wonderful Irish man, who I am also a dear friend of. And they became the premier Irish casting duo of all time. And his name is Gibson. And so we will call him Gibby. And yeah, that's what's happening there. Is that Whippet just... Yeah, he can't bear to be separated from his lovely friend. Who just got married, by the way. Gibby, if you're watching, congratulations. I haven't actually yet said that to you in person yet, but congratulations.
That was a great way to get it in the middle of our opening fight here, out by Villa. 200 Bucks hold the top control so far. Amanda's going to have that dome shield up, or mesh shield, as I mentioned. Didn't see a mesh getting brought out from Group A in the slightest, and the box will get ran away with. That was going to be by Wi-Fi, making a little bit of a down and dash as Aimers dive in to collect the scraps of what they can. We do lose one in the midst of that one, but it will be a 1-for-1 trade. Heavy versus medium here for Aimers. Hop on board as Ray. He'll just get that one shut down. He will find himself success, wiping out 200 Books, and has enough time to get his team recovered from this. A has been plugged in nicely from the side of Bad Wi-Fi. And Jerry, correct me if my vision is somewhat needing correction. That is a riot shield in play.
I looked away. I will take your word for it, because we have seen one player bring out the riot shield last week, and it was a player on Bad Wi-Fi. That would make a lot of sense if we're seeing it once again, and it is Ploppy once again bringing out that riot shield, hoping to cause a bit of a riot.
Well, the biggest thing about this is going to be a massive attention grabber. You have a riot shield running towards you. It just creates what I like to call inside of situations a dilemma, not a problem. A problem, you have an easy solution. Dilemma, there's multiple ways to deal with it, all equally somewhat bad. And he's going to be able to block that winch, find some free damage. He'll dive in towards the SA, finds one onto Ray. And that riot shield doesn't get that confirmation. The
KS23 does,
was not ready for the KS riot shield combination, but Aimers have been wiped out here.
Yeah, Bad Wi-Fi taking out the big guns in the lobby, and yeah, they're doing it in their unique style, which I love to see. It actually served them quite well towards the end of last Playday. They needed to mix it up. This gave them a late surge, and they won the only map that they brought out the riot shield on. So why not stick with it? In come 200 Books to try and go for a steal, smartly positioning himself on top of the box, but it tumbles at an angle, and that forces him off it. Now we have a full team fight on our hands. Lots of trades back and forth here. Krieger Blue going down to a suspicion of HP, but he just managed to shake down Medalock, and that is the light out for the count. But we have a trade back. Krieger Blue finds one. No, he takes out Medalock yet again. Sorry, I'm losing my mind here, as of course Aimers have decided to come on in and make it even more confusing. Reimka finds one. Elix is taken down. The steal is being attempted here by Aimers in the chaos of it all. The drop is there, but it's not enough to force him off the point. The kill is, though, and they hold on to the point. Excellent kill from Manda on 200 Books, who protects the cash out of Bad Wi-Fi.
Bad Wi-Fi will be thankful for that. The big question I'm going to raise to you, Jerry, at this stage, Aimers are the highest team in the standings from Group B right now. Does that put a little bit of a target on their back, and teams will be fighting a little bit more ferociously if you see one of those orange players highlighted from this? Roma does have time to try and make that res stick. Does get Ray back into the fight. Dash around. Roma does find one. That's going to be Madalock shut down from it. It's going to be a bit of a reset moment from both these teams. Coin usage so far, Jerry? Nothing yet. Nothing burned from either of these teams.
No, very smartly. It's been a lot of clean team wipes from everyone on all sides of the spectrum here. And we are already, somehow, in our second wave. It's really flown by, this first wave of cash outs. Bad Wi-Fi and Vatican Esports, our very first national team, as I like to call them, in the game. Already ahead of the pack. And Vatican Esports have also plugged at sea and are already 30 seconds through that 2-minute time. It looks as though AIM is heading towards construction to tap Vault 4. 200 books think otherwise. They're going to try and tackle offices and go straight for Vatican Esports.
Looks like it's going to be a double convergence here. Bad Wi-Fi look to try and make that move out towards offices of war, unless they want to dive in towards hotel. Going to be the repeater getting brought out, and unusual here, Jerry. Well, again,
yeah.
High DPS potential, and this is going to be one of the things where you're skill limited when it comes to your DPS, your damage available on the side of that repeater. It's all about hitting those shots. Great to pop in and dive around cover, make things work. It's great to trying to keep heavies and mediums at arm's distance. Does struggle when that light begins to dash in and dive towards you, so keep an eye for that one for Vatican Esports. Is well, their medium's going to be Evolution holding on to that one with that repeater.
Oh, at least he also rocking the double deagles. They're going very off meta here with Vatican Esports. But why not? XP as well on 00. Another slightly off meta choice since the recent nerfs, but still a very viable weapon, just one that's fallen out of favour. But yeah, this is definitely Vatican Esports trying to make an advert for the off meta picks. At the moment, they are sitting quite pretty. 2 teams now converging on C, and they're going to try and take bites out of each other. No, in fact, they're falling away. A lot of kiting going on. Krieger Blue getting that res to try and cause some problems. And in fact, aimers are coming into grief this point already. 200 books make an about face and try and go for B instead. They're caught in the back, but the stick is almost successful. Unfortunately, though, winched out of position. Ploppy then can try and go for a second attempt. The DMAT will take it out of its range, and that is enough. That has bought them the time. Vatican Esports, without even really having to take a fight, have won their first cash out. Irelisi goes down in the post, and this right shield will no doubt start cleaning up, as we've seen Ploppy do throughout this entire game. But unfortunately for Bad Wi-Fi, it's without the cash this time.
But just a little bit unfortunate there, but great play from that DMAP, that second drop, just to enable Vatican Esports to get that one locked down. Great damage done with that 9-3R and that retreating member of aimers. They're close to getting themselves this capture point. And just around 3/4 already is done at this stage. Red Barrel sent out with a great Fortress of Goo, making mobility a little bit of a question mark. Hook is perfect. We'll find that light. Ely does get one. Has to be strike off the board. A familiar name, Jerry, for our past many moons ago, it seems. Unfortunately, won't have an impact from this one. Shut down. And 200 books all down to Manda. Alone, he has a mesh shield to work with, but unfortunately can't keep himself in this fight too much longer. Aimers find themselves vulnerable to steal, and they will fall victim to it. Bad Wi-Fi getting the benefit of that. Ploppy gets one with the riot shield, and that's going to be aimers left completely high and dry at this stage, as the steal is perfect. Bad Wi-Fi lock it out.
Midnight heist by Bad Wi-Fi. They had no right going for that, and somehow they've clawed their way back into a clean second place. Interestingly as well, Vatican Esports have 2 kills total this map, and they are now on their 3rd cash out, way out in front, after being wiped. And coming back in and planting, plugging. I'm a little bit behind. But cash out or vault number 6 can be tapped. And of course, there is a decision to be made here by every team. Do they try and go for B, or do they go for that plug on 6? There's still plenty of time, of course, 1:40 with both of these objectives still available to them. I doubt a double will be in the mind of many teams. Of course, it will be in the mind of 200 books who need it to try and contest those top spots. So that's why they're sticking around the vault. They want to make sure of it. Evolution finds a repeater kill. Savor it while you can.
You're saying that like it's not the greatest weapon that we have in this. I mean, on thing it's got incredible DPS. You just have to, hit the shots to find that damage per second to work with. Great at bursting people down. Great sustain as well with a decently sized capacity. Unfortunately, when you have Roma staring you down with an M11, not too easy to make that one stick. Ooh. It's going to be an attempted steal here. B's going to get caught out. That's gonna be
They can't keep doing this. They can't keep sending aimers to do the fighting for them. And now, 200 books have come in. They've gone for the double, and they're going to try and get the steal immediately, but Ploppy comes in. The problem with the riot shield is it's just not good enough at denying the point. As I say that, though, Madlock comes in with the double barrel to really deal that burst damage that the riot shield lacks. Ploppy is now preparing himself in a nice secret corner, ready for the retake.
I love this, but this is going to be the problem that you mentioned, not having the raw DPS to deal with that.
Oh, his team are down.
Steal. but he's
The
going to
wipe!
get pushed out from that fight. It's going to be Mitsu, but Amers, though, not finding success in the middle of this furball. Absolute calamity from this. Will they have 2 players still standing, all down? Helix now, last one trying to make this.
Oh, they don't know where they are.
It's going to be punching in the dark, and the beneficiaries of this will be bad Wi-Fi. Every second burn gets a second closer, and in arrive 200 books to collect the pieces and find themselves a steal to move themselves to that #1 position here on Skyway Stadium.
Unbelievable. I say it a lot, but in the final 8 seconds, wiping the very last person in the lobby and being the only team left contending for the final few moments to steal. That was a game. That was a Skyway Stadium right there with it.
I think the description of, yeah, that was a game, I think summarizes it completely perfectly. And well, Jerry, you said one thing to me as we were getting ready for this, is get ready for Amers to be the dominant team. Now, this is no comment about the players. They've come last here, but the reason they've come last is they've been absolutely caught out by the tides of battle time and time again. They were forced into essentially being the third party for teams like Bad Wi-Fi, like Vatican, like 200 Books. You just gotta feel like they were just kept out of the matchup and they really never had a chance to shine.
Yeah, and Amers, like you say, top seed. Look at all the kills they managed to gather. Just coming last on the leaderboard, and that can happen. That absolutely can happen. And Bad Wi-Fi, we have to commend their objective play in that game. I mean, you're going to have to play objectively if you're running the Riot Shield, among other things. But, yeah, it worked out for them. I want to highlight something that Waltz has mentioned in chat to me and to everyone at this point, that the Riot Shield does have a bit of utility when it comes to denying steals. Apparently, you can walk in front of the stealer to block the sight line. But, of course, that doesn't work if that body is right up against the cash out. So there's definite kind of push and pull there. It's something that we might see happen a little bit more as Ploppy employs this weapon, and to relatively good effect so far. Fortunately, only bought them a 3rd place finish here, but we know that their performance through that game was impressive with it.
It really was. The fun question I'm going to throw straight to you for this one, Jerry, is that obviously Ploppy had success using that Riot Shield, and we saw some unconventional picks getting brought out, like a repeater, like that double barrel, like even an AK, I believe, getting brought out. Is this going to be a thing that we're going to see out for the rest of the maps from this group going into? Are we going to see the Riot Shield getting brought out here? It's going to be a little bit of different change of pace as Bernal. Next up for these teams.
I think it has an expiration date. I've got to be honest. I feel as though these teams will adapt. It worked very well the first time we saw it last week or on Saturday, because it was the final map that Ploppy decided to bring out. At this point, I feel like the jig is up. Every team will have seen this shield. Every team will have had to deal with it at least once and maybe adjust 1 or 2 things around it, not even loadout wise, just positioning, just how you approach a gunfight, knowing as well what's on the rest of that team, that loadout. You know, we've got shotguns aplenty, they've got the SA-12 and the double barrel to help mitigate the fact that you don't have that burst damage potential in the shield itself, and I feel as though that's a potentially counterable comp, but we will have to see, because of course on paper things play out very differently to in server. 00 finds the first kill around onto Roma, but a trade back from Elix, taking out one member of the Vatican Esports, and Irolizzi now the last one alive on the side of the purple squad, taken out aplenty. Elix with a lot of impact there. In come Bad Wi-Fi though, 3rd party on the first vault fight, and now it's a 2 versus 2.
This is crazy, and it's going to be an ultimate opportunist play to dive in the 3rd party so early. Ploppy with the Riot Shield yet again. He's going to trade off damage, will be successful, but not able to connect with that final with his baton, and it will give Roma the opportunity to get Amers back in this fight. We do see 200 Books getting a cash out and a plug-in play out by A absolute mess of mines and defense utility placed all around it, and they got themselves plenty of time to set up as Amers will likely move the vault towards their cash out position as a respawn for Bad Wi-Fi is there.
Vatican Esports now picking up those red barrels, picking up anything they can to get a good approach. Of course, this repeater lends itself very nicely to a map like Bernal with plenty of long sight lines. The Deagles as well can cause damage at range, but they are going to have to be careful on their approach here. Already half that time elapsed for 200 Books. And you can see Bad Wi-Fi lurking as well. Prime 3rd party as it seems in this lobby. They understand the win con. They're going to try and benefit as much as they can from the teams around them. That is definitely a viable strategy in the finals. They are certainly employing it plenty, but this timer is always difficult. You cannot entirely rely on other teams to do exactly what you want, and right now, Vatican Esports and 200 Books in a literal Mexican standoff across the rooftops. Bad Wi-Fi decide, you know what, we might just have to hit go.
I think Bad Wi-Fi really have to go in at this stage going into it. It's just going to be a patience game, and aimers are going to be the ultimate benefits of this. They're just going to sit there out by Church, and while every second that drains away is going to be 1 second close to a completely free cash out onto B. And this is going to be the rival now. Bad Wi-Fi get themselves on towards that cash out. They'll try and winch it away towards their own setup, and it's going to be early damage done. Floppy will dive in with that Riot Shield, and that baton will cause some chaos. Great winch there, but the repeater revolution does find one, and it's going to be absolute carnage. They chase one down. Ploppy gets Krieger blue in the midst of it, but unfortunately not enough to get an opening for that steal. 200 Books will benefit from that. 3 quarters done from the side of aimers. They arrive late to the scene. Correction, they do not arrive late to the scene. My eyes betrayed me.
Yeah, Aim is very happy to just sit on B and collect their points. And the kills will rain on out as we do attempt to see who will win this final fight. Looks like 200 Books are the ones coming out on top there. Finally, Iolese taken out with a few punches. Lots of melee kills in that final kill feed there. But that did feel somewhat anticlimactic. We had a 3-way team fight that just delayed and delayed and delayed. And when it came, it was far too late for anyone to do anything about the objective. So yeah, a little bit of a quieter start to Bernal. We'll have to see where the teams adjust and decide to avoid that kind of stalemate in the future.
I feel like Bad Wi-Fi are just going to be the team that, to me, this screams like they want to get involved in third parties in the midst of it. That Riot Shield, to me, every single day is just going to be such a tool in the middle of chaos. That's when you can utilize that to benefit of people perhaps not paying full attention or tunnel vision on another target. The KS-23 in the hands here of Chewies, and this is just going to be an unusual pick yet again all around from this team. Great individual one-shot damage, but just not able to connect in the midst of that opening engagement.
Yeah, they're going to hit pause on that push and decide to regen. At the moment, it does look like we maybe have a slightly more standard layout, but no, it looks like they've turned around and gone for a different objective here. Cash out 4 under a lot of, or Vault 4 rather, under a lot of heat. Iolese and 00 make sure that Vatican Esports are in a good position here, but aimers are trying to bring themselves back in. Elix with his favored FAMAS doing bits. Down go the pieces of Vatican Esports, leaving only Iolese defending cash out D. They have gotten that plug, but now he's out for the count, and it's free real estate for whoever wants to take it.
Elix, the last one standing for the side of aimers, is going to get dropped down. Should be a free steal. Bad Wi-Fi will benefit from it. Vanish Bomb goes down. Unfortunately, Stealer will not get the benefit from that, but the steal is all but free. And with the smoke canister deploying its fumes everywhere, that might just create a little bit of chaos to open up the door for that Riot Shield to find some success. I'll hop on board here as we look at aimers trying to move themselves out towards C. That will be their primary target. It's 3 teams all converging out towards Stadium. Jerry, this is going to be a difficult one for both these teams. I think the defense is going to find themselves fighting in the back foot here.
Yeah, but they have had lots of time to set up, and this is a fairly defensible position as well. And they've moved that cash out into a nice spot too. They've got plenty of utility on it. Lots of hard cover. Aimers will have a puzzle to solve, and not much time left to solve it. Elix taking the brunt of that pike. Krieger blue firing some warning shots, and they can sort of toy around with this. It looks as though they're not going to come under any serious pressure as it stands. We know that aimers are lurking. The question is, are they going to pull the trigger on this push? They finally do. Here comes the steal. So they spend some utility, get that dome down, get the cover down. They are holding on to it, but it doesn't work. They get the kills. 2 go the way of 200 Books, leaving only Roma in a 1 versus 3. He has dug himself out of these sorts of positions before, and he finds 2, but he's not going to get the cash at the end of it, even if he takes down Manda, who's forced onto that mesh shield. We don't see many of them nowadays, but it looks like he's found a position to try and take down that light. Doesn't have the lock bolt out, but he does have the health advantage here. Roma, though, with that heavy DPS, unfortunately can't get it to work. Manda comes away with the team wipe to his name and the cash. 200 Books surge ahead. Bad Wi-Fi look like they are holding off successfully on cash out D as we head into the final wave of cash outs, with everyone relatively even. Vatican Esports maybe looking to double this final one.
Great shots with the Eagles there to open up one, but here arrives Ploppy. Just going to be able to cause a little bit of chaos from it. Diving in with that bottom swinging widely. Doesn't do so well on initial trade of damage. Should be able to find the pick towards the heavy and does. And that's going to be a great benefit. But he's all alone now on the side of Bad Wi-Fi. Chased down by one. Light in the room with him, and he'll try and demat himself out, but 00 gets him, shuts it down. That's going to be a Wi-Fi off the cards here. They're currently holding themselves nicely in P2. Still not out of this fight yet. Will hop on board and scrap in the alleyway. Diving out of that shipping container. Hop on top of it. It's going to be the side of 200 bucks. Trying to dive in and put some pressure under Aimers so far. Great pick there. And we're going to Roma yet again with that M11. Just doing so much work. Finding so much damage time and time again. And they're trying to hold on best they can. He only finds one more. But opts to retreat and Vanish Bomb himself to safety for a little bit longer.
Using some good movement there to get himself an vantage point. Wipes out Strike, but caught on the trees. As Manda finds that trade. And that's a wipe again against Aimers. 200 books looking very strong this time round. After a very surprising victory on Skyway, they could be on course for a second win in a row, which would be huge for their hopes. Being a team coming into today in, what, 7th place? They could start the climb very quickly. But here we are, Vatican Esports versus Bad Wi-Fi on the other cash out. Ploppy finding kill, but Seawise takes himself out with the RPG. These Deagles aren't landing their shots, though. They really need to be. This double barrel can cause some problems. Madalock closing them down. Ploppy is the brunt, the spearhead of this charge. He finds 00, and now only Ialeezy left defending this cash out. They are going to attempt the steal with this 3 versus 1, but up comes Evolution on the coin. It looks as though they're going to get it, and Bad Wi-Fi will have about about a minute and a half to hold off this point.
Not going to be the easiest one to work with, but they've done good so far. The real question, with everything being split, who's going to get the primary attention of these teams? Aimers with 20,000 to their name. They're only 500 behind the side of Bad Wi-Fi right now, so a steal here can catapult them up to these main standings. Gonna hop on board here with Vatican Esports, trying to get themselves an opening here against Bad Wi-Fi. There's gonna be a smoke canister in the winch, will not connect. He'll chase them with those Deagles. I'm not gonna be able to find any damage with it so far. And somewhat separate from the rest of his team. Will regroup now. Have that top 4 control just around the A cash out. 60 seconds left here on Bernal. Some damage shots just missing. Ray will find Krieger. Blue gets traded off in the midst of that one, but the winch goes out towards the alleyway, and this opens things up nicely for potential steal. Bad Wi-Fi not really set themselves on a great position to defend this, but the Riot Shield will find some damage Evolution, but not often to chase him via that jump pad, providing he'll stay nice and close towards this cash out. He'll burn away the APS as well, but Jerry, 30 seconds left to work with, and here's the go button now. Diving into that Riot, you need to find some chaos, but often just to play, just to kite, and just to waste every second he can.
Absolutely the right decision with only a little bit of HP, but Evolution finds that kill, and it's going to be a flip from Vatican Esports. They're going to put themselves in a much better position, but it's only 3rd place as Aimers are defending on the other side from 200 books. Realistically, only a steal will do. Some kills might make a difference here, but they have to get this objective. There's still a mine on it. It's going to be too difficult. Elix finds that kill. Roma with another, and Manda is the only one making a difference here. Strike takes down Elix, but it's all for naught. Aimers come out on top. 200 books were chasing them at the end there. They get rewarded with a nice 2nd place finish. Vatican Esports and Bad Wi-Fi bringing up the rear.
That's a little bit of a pivot, and I kind of mix up the standings this time, but Aimers following up to what you perceived as the favourites going in this one, getting themselves that #1 position, follow 100 points to their tally. Lots of diversity that we're seeing from this one, and to really lead into the point that you mentioned that we had before we went into Bernal here, is yes, it's fun to see that Riot Shield. Yes, it's fun to see these more unorthodox picks getting brought out, but are they going to work time and time again? Are they going to work map after map? And well, it definitely felt like that Riot Shield inside of Ploppy and Bad Wi-Fi didn't quite connect and have the same impact. Perhaps, of course, Bernal is going to be a little bit more difficult to make things work, but even third party of the first cash or first vault, it's an interesting choice from Bad Wi-Fi.
Yeah, and that was Bad Wi-Fi's choice. So yeah, it kind of epitomizes their problems here, is that obviously they're going to have to lean on that strategy with this kind of lineup, and it's not necessarily optimal. It doesn't put everything in your hands. We saw it after that first cash out as well, not the first vault, but the objective to try and go and steal. They just couldn't find an opening, and eventually they had to just go when it was suboptimal. They were relying on 2 other teams to fight for them, and it wasn't happening, so that just left them in a position where they couldn't control the game. And yeah, I feel like there are there are flex strats, and this is one of them. If you're going to make it your main strat, you're really going to have to back it up with a few better performances, because at the moment, on paper, it's exciting, it's fun, it has worked in its moments, but you've got a 3rd place finish and a 4th place finish. That keeps happening, you're not going to make it through to the next stage of this tournament.
Yeah, you have to find that average at some point, and yes, it's fun, but I think trying to find those consistent results and not being in that yo-yo position of winning, getting high point tallies, then dropping in the last place. So I would expect maybe as we go to Las Vegas that maybe we might see a swap off from Bad Wi-Fi. Ploppy might bring out something a little bit more unorthodox, but deep down, deep in my soul, maybe we might see something a little bit different from yet again. Aimers are likely trying to convert this into a nice 200 points for the day so far with a second first place finish here on Las Vegas. Jerry, initial predictions before we dive into the chaos?
I would expect Aimers to ride this momentum now. We have become accustomed to seeing them string together results, string together first places after they get on a roll. And if they're feeling it, then they can be unstoppable. So this could be their map. But we'll have to wait and see. I also want to give credit to Roma at the moment. Got some, interesting stats from Young at the start of the day. Remka finding the first kill. I will go back onto that point in a moment. But let's see if Roma can add to his kill tally. Because as he came into today, he was the 2nd place kills carrier in the league. Remka, though, making a stake there as he finds all 3 in that initial kill fight, team fight. Bad Wi-Fi sticking to their trend as they try to intercept this cash box, and it is successful. They get that plug, and now they have a defense here on the boards. Aimers have to try and pin them down.
Double barrel on Riot Shield all in effect yet again, getting brought out, and Aimers just going to be a little dance around this. Devalmas does miss those critical bursts, and that's going to be a collection there, but unfortunately chasing down one is all well and good for your own personal stats. The rest of the team couldn't get that one. CYs and Madlock get shut down. That will be Aimers with a free steal on B inside a parking garage. All nicely done and locked out from them. A somewhat quiet at this stage, finding a little bit of pressure arriving. Just wondering, though, when this might begin to boil over. High ground controlled. Double O trying to find that early damage. 9VR will back away for time being with Jerry. High control still held.
Good way to play that invis. That's not, unfortunately, running visibly across the top of the roof, and Strike will punish Double O. Now a 3 versus 2 in favor of 200 books. Manda taken out, but Krieger Blue will clean up admirably with that pike. We can see how effective it is when it goes unchecked. And now we will see 200 books with about 40 seconds left to defend, coming under pressure from Bad Wi-Fi, who, right on cue, are going to cause some problems. But, well, maybe a little bit late to the party this time around. A bit of a fairer fight. But they can stack the point. They can try and force the issue. They've set up a gateway to try and reposition above should they need it. It looks like they found their targets as well. Poppy getting a lot closer than maybe he'd bargained for. Running along, protecting his side, his left side with that riot shield. They're trying to close the distance here. Strike does find one, though. Bad Wi-Fi already taking a bit of a beating. Ploppy realizing that it's now or never as far as the objective is concerned. Heads his way there, but gets stuck on the staircase. Can't contend with the movement from the heavy. The SA-12 is putting out damage. Ploppy, unfortunately, losing that fight. Well, winning that fight, but losing the battle as they are wiped.
An unfortunate threat trend that we've seen so far from Bad Wi-Fi in both the team fights and around that we've seen from them. It's just Ploppy, kind of the last one standing, and unfortunately able to chase down, collect one, but I think that isolation and someone that tunnel vision just makes it difficult. Roma's going to find himself in a horrible position, caught by the hook. Evolution does collect that with the CBO repeater. Evolution does find himself trade away. Raymake finds one, finds a second, and Aimers with a very effective and very efficient wipe. Just lock that one down, and they've done that perfectly. I think you mentioned it, Jerry, that they're just going to ride this momentum, and it feels like they're absolutely floating at this stage. Aimers in complete control, tied with cash tally with 200 books so far, but really haven't been stretched that much and look very comfortable in their own skin in this match.
Yeah, Remka especially is really flowing. Could we maybe get a quick flash of the scoreboard to see just how many kills he's gotten throughout this match so far? Only onto the second cash out, and he's found 7 for himself. We see right now Bad Wi-Fi very close to this cash out, attempting to steal it, but they meet the resistance of 200 books. Madlock, though, takes that kill onto Amanda, and they may have a bit of a problem here. 200 books trying to retreat, but Strike and Krieger Blue taking flak. They go all the way out. Roma and Remka and Roma finding the wipe very quickly on the Vatican Esports, so they will successfully steal on the other side of the map, but we're going to stick here as there's an attempted steal. Unfortunately, that does cost the heavy his life. Ploppy is low as well. gets hit with that Vanish Bomb, but it's not going to protect him. Krieger Blue adds to his own tally. 200 books looking very strong, only have the light to deal with. Can they find him? No, Madlock denying Krieger Blue there, and it's a 1 versus 1 between the heavy and the light. Out comes the RPG, not very effective. They have to land their shots. These are shotguns. Manda does so, but unfortunately for him, no. That is a teammate that has coined in. Thank goodness for Strike.
Strike is going to be a lucky one from that unfortunate double barrel. That very first burst of the barrel doesn't connect. The second one did in the mix of that one. Famas should be able to collect some free damage here. Great shots getting found by Elix. He'll drop multiple levels with that D-Man and should be able to get himself a nice little escape at this point. Teammate Roma gets himself coined in. I imagine Rainmake might be doing a very similar thing yet again. 1 second left for the potential timer. Rainmake back in the fight.
Oh, that's
no need for that defib.
Evolution able to stick this steal, but the burst damage from Ilix behind is enough to contain it. Unfortunately, Vatican Esports is making some real mistakes here, just trying to stick the seal when they're under so much pressure from the reigning members of Aimers, and it costs them dearly a wipe in the direction of the papacy. And now we have 2 clear leaders in this lobby emerging, Aimers and 200 books. The question is, who's going to come out on top? As it stands, Aimers 4 kills ahead, but with already, well, still 3 minutes and 40 left on the timer. All that could change. Bad Wi-Fi coming in for maybe a last-second steal to upset the apple cart.
Oh, they couldn't get that one done. I really like the vision to try and play that within the smoke, and unfortunately it couldn't work. I think he wanted the Ploppy just to swing for the fences in the midst of that chaos, but Aimers shot it down nicely. And well, Raymake, he was earlier on 7 at the start of the second cash out, has been on an absolute tear. Will find himself one more Madlock falls, and while Aimers will be in complete control as that cash out goes their way. They lead 35,000 going into our 5th and 6th vaults at this point. And that pike from this distance will be able to collect some nice damage. Those shots did connect by Krieger Blue. He's been doing fantastic with that in this medium range style encounter. A little bit of that mist, that smoke just obscuring vision, providing enough concealment to help Vatican Esports escape for the time being. They should be able to get themselves a nice little collection on this vault.
Krieger Blue with a decent position as well with this pike. Able to recover that vault, but decides to head through the gateway as he starts to lose that fight. It's a quick escape. It comes back up, and there's even more purple bodies around him. Vatican Esports finally clean up. And I was going to say Bad Wi-Fi and Vatican Esports really exposed that they have some improvements to be made. But when it comes to raw killing power, they are sometimes up there with the best of them. A lot of trades here now. We're down to a 1 versus 1, but the defib is hit by Ploppy very successfully. And now he's causing problems for Roma. That riot shield tanking a lot of the damage that the light wanted to dish out. And Seawise with a 1 pump manages to find that. Look how close together. Oh no, that's my eyes not doing me a good one there. They're not very close together. These are completely different buildings. Sometimes that happens. Look at all the goo. That was not the best placed one. A much better one from Ploppy. And now they can defend Cash Out B for the next minute and a half or so.
Great timing from them. Great revive, though, from Ploppy to find that. Using that riot shield to buy space, and a great pump from that KS-23 to get it. RPG will find around half HP damage. Great one done. Madlock won't last too much longer. Will run into the strike. The 9-3R does collect him nicely. Wall of goo makes things a little bit uncomfortable in the midst of this poison canister as well. There's gas just choking out this play. We'll find some free ticks of damage for the rest of this, and while Bad Wi-Fi will be benefiting nicely from this. Coin from Madlock is available. He will take it. Steel's not going to be successful from it, and with all 3 players from Bad Wi-Fi back, CYC need to stay alive. But as you mentioned, Jerry, Gamers absolutely arrive. They come crashing in, but Ploppy finds one the Rainmake and opens the door. 200 bucks trying to steal us in the midst of it, but the sirens of that cash out are just going to be the dinner bells, and the gas mine detonated by the side of Ploppy. A great pop from that is everything down to this final 1 minute, Jerry. The bottom 2 teams, the 3rd and 4th, have everything in control.
They do, and we can see Krieger Blue taking a bit of a beating here. Strike coming in to try and undo some of that damage to his teammate, but Roma is cleaning up, and Elix will sweep up the final vestiges of 200 books. That library has burnt to a crisp. 200 books now quite possibly having to settle for that 2nd place, depending on what happens here. Of course, both of these final cash outs really are going to come down to a 3rd or 4th place fight, and it's going to be kills that determine it. Bad Wi-Fi getting a lot in their locker, but Roma melting them as well. Aimers don't even need to steal on this final cash out. They're just farming. Elix and Roma are plenty. Vatican Esports will get the final cash out. I think it just about puts them ahead with 500 ahead of Bad Wi-Fi. And with only 6 seconds left, well, we could maybe see a kill, a meaningful kill. That would be very funny if bad Wi-Fi could get killed, but no, they're wiped. So it doesn't matter. What a strange ending to that game, Whippet, as Aimers walk with it despite not even contesting the last cash outs.
It was a very strange one in the end, but it's going to be a repeat of what we saw in our previous match about Bernal, and Aimer is going to be able to collect that one nicely. And the big thing for me, Jerry, is going into this one, we see a massive terms of just the kills that he collected from this. Roma finding himself 12, and you mentioned that he was actually incredibly high second in the kill standings total going into it. I mean, they just looked in complete control, and Aimers never really felt to be under tremendous pressure from cash out to cash out here on Las Vegas.
I want to point out as well, Elix, a key part of this team, previously Noah X, in case you're wondering who that is right there on your screen. And at the moment, he's got 12 assists. Now, that is to be expected because, funnily enough, he is the highest assist carrier for this league, which is really impressive. Unfortunately, it has meant in my notes, it has been abbreviated to number 1 ass. So, yeah, sorry about that, Alex. Yeah, I did him dirty. It wasn't my... it just happened that way. I can only fit so many words on my page, you know? Sorry.
I'm still trying to recover from that one.
Destroyed me.
That's the first time I've ever heard someone break down an assist stat line is, it's... What does the abbreviation even mean? Is it just assist short?
Yeah, it's just short for assists. Like, you take first 3 letters of assists, it's ass. That's just how it works. I don't make the rules. The English made the
seemingly
rules.
You put on your sheet, so you do going into it. But perfectly mentioned that you said, though, that we tend to see Aimers go on these runs of form, and they found themselves their first victory on Bernal. They get it done here on Vegas. Is this just a sense of they've warmed up into it now and they've got their flow, they got the rhythm going into it? Because in terms of just raw killing potential, it was insane what we saw going into it. Having 7 kills going into it from one individual after the first cash out, they played completely in control, and I feel that was a massive benefit to them. They never really felt challenged in those direct one-on-one gunfights.
Yeah, I think knowing the battle is half the battle. That's definitely not how the saying goes. But it's something like that, right? And they really knew that Bad Wi-Fi were going to come in for that third party. And in terms of their raw kill count, they definitely benefited from it. They backed themselves in those kills, and they got to take a lot more fights than your average team would. They're called aimers for a reason, and they did that, and it worked for them. So, yeah, as we head on into our final map here, aimers break through that beautiful wall in their beautiful drip. I love all the hats. I love the shiny get-up. It's very kind of unified. I always give extra props to teams that have Skinergy. I think it's a really important thing in this game.
Definitely better than whatever I see your mediums rocking whenever we queue up World Tour. Just saying.
It is a crime against nature, that thing. If you've ever watched my medium on the very few streams I've ever done, you will be scarred for life.
It's the worst. I actually remember being physically recoiling when I first ever saw you join my lobby for that. We'll jump on board here with Ploppy once again. Re-rolls onto that riot shield, and they demat the box that evolved in towards them away from 200 bucks. You find themselves initially wiped from Vatican Esports. Double out the last 2-1 standing from this, and Aimers get themselves in a little bit of a difficult position. Roma somewhat separated from his team and somewhat let off the leash just to try and find some jewel of the lights over there, but Roma making the right decision just to fall back to the rest of his team. Keep alive in this one. Plug is successful on the B. Bad Wi-Fi will get that credit, and they have a lot of time to get themselves nice and reset for this.
Ooh, a quick gateway to close that gap. Very neatly done by Vatican Esports. Might not be expecting this, Bad Wi-Fi, said Yoda. And now we have a jump pad, maybe, to take them up to the top floor. Yes, they will do.
Yeah.
And that Osboo's can pops thrice. Off they go, but unfortunately, that winch will take the life of the heavy. The trade comes out. Ploppy gets that defib. Of course, very high value in a situation like this. Down they go, diving on them, but Iolesi comes out with that SA-12, deals the damage. And now 1 versus 2. Madlock left in an unenviable situation here, defending the cash out. And with that res, I think 00 has pretty much marked a successful flip here for the team in purple.
Even with the assistance of that Osboost can, they launched them into it. Unfortunately, they didn't pop, pour, and perform in that order, breaching the sacred ritual of that Osboost to try and get that victory. They do pay the price for it, unfortunately, and the flip does got in the way of Vatican Esports. They're back in this fight, though. Coins were used to get that reset. They'll demat the box down towards them. Floppy will try and maybe tap this one, baiting it. They'll get themselves a nice little vanish bomb for this, and this is going to be Bad Wi-Fi, just taking their time. 50% damage done to Floppy at this early stage. Source of which unknown right now, but diving in from that top floor is going to be the heavy. That's going to be, here he is, and it's going to be a very difficult one within the midst of that smoke, and that's going to prove to be a very difficult asset to work around, knowing a riot shield is baton might be swinging wildly. You walk into the midst of that vapor.
There's a very unstable cash out right there, and it's being winched out of the ground by the heavy Iolesi, who brings it onto the balcony. Maybe a slightly better spot to defend it from. You can hold from above without even needing the benefit of a dematerializer or anything of that nature. It is brought back down to earth by Krieger Blue, but I don't think the opening is there. They're going to attempt it, but it looks like it is forced off. The steal is being stuck here by Manda in the smoke, but the final winch coming out from Iolesi. Excellent objective play from the heavy on Vatican Esports, through and through from start to finish. He's the last one standing for his team in a 1 versus 1. Can he secure the wipe against Krieger Blue as well? Skeet shooting out of the air, but no, Krieger Blue flying lands that shot with the pike. Unfortunately for him, he only tastes victory for a mere moment as Roma is there to clean him up. Aimers asserting their dominance despite a very early and free first catch out for them.
They'll be happy for that yet again. I mean, look at this. Aimers only having themselves 4 kills in total as a team just shows the, I think, lack of attention that was going to pay towards them. They were able to just kind of take a meandering pace towards their cash out, and they'll likely do the same. The plug will be imminent here out towards cash out C, and Aimers do get that one, so plug bonus in effect. And well, back on board here with bad Wi-Fi, queuing up nicely.
they're here for the photo op.
Their time.
They've chosen a nice blank background for us to take a screenshot. Very cute. Evolution finds a kill onto Krieger Blue as we tune on in to the attack from Vatican Esports. Going quite well as it looks like that winch connects, stuns Manda and finishes him off. That heavy versus heavy fight goes in the way of the Vatican. Now it's only Strike left, the light player, not what you want defending this vault, but of course this is only a vault fight. So he's able to res his teammate. And now Vatican Esports have to hot foot it over to cash out D. Thankfully it's quite nearby. And they catch some heat here as Bad Wi-Fi are back up and running. But they do get the plug successfully.
That plug's going to be a massive benefit to them. And look at the midst of this one as Roma does pick one up on the strike, but no one's actually contesting on towards Aimers. C is fairly safe at this stage, and 200 bucks of running that roadblock, called the M11 in the hands of Roma, who's picking them apart one by one. Manda does get that res on the strike as we hop on board here towards D, as everything gets a little bit more compact. They're looking to cause this one potential for a third party to arrive. Floppy does find one. Wave goodbye to Krieger Blue from Gateway, trying to find initiation. They'll dive in with his cloak to try and find some information and actually buy this totem. This revive should happen in the midst of this cover. Attempted steal here. That's going to be shut down. The XP are going to get that by 00, and Floppy will be fun to fall for that.
Quick sidebar here. As you said, roadblock on the M11, my mind was like, oh god, I'm an East Londoner, and it's like, you know, it's going to take like 2 hours to get to Duxford. Come on. Iolesi takes out C-Wise. That's a real deep cut. Iolesi takes out C-Wise, and that marks the end of Bad Wi-Fi. Unfortunately, that attack doesn't come to fruition. 200 bucks will be happily defending that cash out. Last few seconds over here on cash out C as Aimers use that winch to good effect. Raimka dives in with the RPG, unleashes hell onto Krieger Blue, and the second almost dealt onto Manda, but that is the damage done. The timer elapses. 200 bucks may manage to wipe Aimers, but Aimers will absolutely be happy with that one. Holding off the point was their main objective there.
Objective is done from it, of course, with the World Tour rule sets that we're working with right now. They're not going to get that penalization you would have instead of Ryan, for example. If you want to wipe, you're not going to lose that 15% of your total, so they can take this reset and they'll be kind of happy for it at this stage. Cash out will be pretty safe from the side of Vatican Esports. They'll almost guarantee that extra 12k to their tally. That'll move them up nicely in the standings. Vault 5 will be contested here. Riot Shield just proving to be a little bit of a problem for these individual fights. Like, this strike really can't dive into contest. This one glitch trade will be good. Get rid of that dome shield. He'll find even more damage, but just not enough to get that confirmation from the C-Wise. He does get picked up by Krieger Blue. The pipe will lock that one down. And this gives Strike the opportunity to try and run this straight to a cash out. A has close proximity. He'll try and make that work. Gateway will level him up nicely. And he'll dive in for it. Should get the plug for his team. He'll find his way there eventually. Gets that one in.
Vatican Esports in a rare position of power here, in touching distance of first place, but they cannot let it slip. It could be potentially a last place finish for them. Anything is possible still here with the cash ties as they are. They need to put something in. They need to try and make something happen. Purple team could go for Vault 6 to keep the destiny in their own hands, but at the moment, that timer is ticking on Cash Out A. 200 books coming under no pressure whatsoever. As I say that, we do see Bad Wi-Fi circling, trying to find that opening. Amanda laying down a C4, ready to spring that trap, but of course, Poppy Beneath with the dematerializer can bring it to their grasp. Vatican Esports have been wiped out in the meantime. That's a real stunt for their hopes. Aimers looking pretty solid, but of course they don't have any objective to be defending right now. They are moving Cash Out, or they moved actually that Vault over to Cash Out B and get their own one started to fight for first place.
Spot one player alone by themselves on the staircase, but man, they can't make anything work from that. C4 goes off, Strike does pick one up to his own name. Madlock will be slain from that. CY's and Ploppy, the last two standing. CY's a little bit worse for wear in terms of HP from it. Just trying to play their time as passively as they can. CY's does fall. Strike finds himself a second in this fight, and Bad Wi-Fi in a very difficult position indeed. It's all down to Ploppy, and it was only a matter of time. Double O shuts him down, and it's just going to be a bit of chaos.
Oh, Vatican.
The Infuser finds some damage, and Vatican Esports do find that pressure now as everyone begins to convert on their position here on A. A massive stack up as two teams arrive.
Oh, they almost find the kills as well. Down goes Strike, and now it's a 3 versus 2 between Vatican and 200 books. Those denial tools get triggered, and down comes the onslaught from 200 books, landing massive damage for only 2 players. But Irelisi finds that kill onto 200 books is heavy, and now it's a 3 versus 1 on the point. Make it a 3 versus none. They should get this steal, and it should put them in a very commanding position, up in first place potentially. But it will depend on the kills that they and Aimers can get in the final minute.
Comes down to an aim race to conclude things, or a kill race to wrap things up, and Aimers are really a team you'd like to back in a moment like this one. Double O will fall in hands of Strike, and it's going to be a massive defense. Bad Wi-Fi trying to make something happen. Gateway to get an opening. Maradox going to buy an exit clause for the rest of his team. Diving in with that double barrel to find something, but it's going to be Aimers finding 2 of their own, and 41 gets traded away. In the mix of that one, double barrel does lock it down. Roma will wipe away the rest of Bad Wi-Fi, but 200 bucks arriving just a little bit late to the scene to try and cause some chaos. They can walk through this labyrinth of goo right now. Helix upstairs can burst away to find some damage. You have all that cover and Kasima to work with, but it's just going to be a dive bomb. What a mess! What a mess it is on B. Roma finds one, gets himself traded away, but 200 bucks find the flip, and that's going to be huge for them. They're wiped, but they get the steal, and they'll get all important extra points to their tally from it. Jerry, what a conclusion we've just seen.
It's even bigger for Vatican Esports, who might have been down and out of it there, but that guaranteed them a first place finish, so they'll be thanking 200 books for that, who only come away with a third place finish. It still meant something for them. They got the kills on the way there. But Aimers, dropping to that second place spot, aren't able to make it 3 in a row. Vatican Esports finally finding some fresh form, though. Look at the kills they managed to rack up in that game.
That's incredible from Vatican Esports, and they grew into this one nicely. The biggest thing for the rest of the teams in this is finally that winning streak cannot be 3 in a row for the side of Aimers. Just beating the post a little bit in those final few moments. That last 15 seconds really unraveled for them, not able to stick that one out. And of course, dropping down the second does mean, of course, they're going to lose out on also vital points, as they really want to be able to try and dive into it. At the beginning of this group, I believe, I don't have refreshed stats in front of me right now, but I believe they were 5th at the beginning of this group's Playday, so they're going to be trying to scramble as many points as possible.
Which team are you referring to there? I can double check. Aimers were 3rd before the day started.
Yeah, just refreshed.
That makes a lot of sense. They've been performing very, very nicely, and you know, Saints 1 did have a rough time earlier. Didn't quite get. Well, I mean, they did all right. They came first once, but that's probably less than they would expect. So, yeah, Aimers jumping way up despite only finishing second there. They probably could have taken the first. They could have made it 3 in a row. They were very, very close to doing so. But, yeah, Vatican Esports coming out with some really big performances there. Some really nice moments. We saw huge plays from Irelisi on the second cash out, winching it about and denying the point from several teams' pressure. And then that final point as well, getting the steal at the last moment to secure themselves at least a top 2 finish at the end. And then they had 200 books to thank. So yeah, it sometimes goes that way. You find your friends, you find your enemies in the server. And yeah, 200 books despite a 3rd place finish there are doing all right for today. You know, they've gotten a win under their belt. It's only really Bad Wi-Fi that have yet to do impressively well. 3 4th place finishes so far is potential relegation form.
It's not been great for them, and I think that it's the commitment to the unorthodox pick is maybe hurting them at this stage. Listen, I understand that you might have a vision for what you want to do a team, but the utility and the benefit that they've gathered from that double barrel combination with that riot shield just hasn't been the same since our very first outing all the way back on Skyway Stadium. As we get ready for the first one, we dive straight into Fortune, Jerry. Can Aimers find themselves a third win of today's Playday, or will everything be up in the air yet again? Back Esports, a little bit of run of form. So hopefully they can build off of that one. Dangerous zip line, so much damage taken. But great movement to be able to escape this one just in time. And with an RPG up top, you can dive in to find some damage. I'll have to wait for Mother Nature to get that HP back in his bank.
Dreamka? More like Nathan Dreamka, I guess. We'll run with that, yeah.
Oh,
sorry,
Jerry.
hang on. Was that a bow I just saw Manalock drawing? Okay. We were like, yeah, they got to try something a little bit more sensible. Nope. Here comes archery. We've got some wild things going on in bad Wi-Fi right now. Roma rocking that ARN, almost gets the kill he needs, but unfortunately is taken out there by Double O. The rest of his team though doing well. That's not an ARN, isn't M11. My mistake. But either way, like trading 1-for-1 there, and we have Aimers now getting this first plug. They find that res as well, and they can establish themselves and establish their footing between what looks like a bit of already a third-party fight between Vatican Esports and... Is this 200 books? No, this is bad Wi-Fi, of course. Why would I think any different?
Bad Wi-Fi are just going to dive into the midst of this chaos. The bow not finding its effectiveness, and well, the last thing you want is going to be Roma up close and personal with that M11. C-Wise is next to go, and well, Remke shuts it down, all down the floppy with the riot shield yet again. He'll swing it wildly, but unfortunately, he will gather nothing from it. Shut down by Elix, and the FAMAS rips him asunder. Still not able to confirm that steal yet. It's going to be a bit of a mess everywhere. Everyone's kind of everywhere all at once right now. Big beneficiaries will be 200 books. Left someone alone out by A. These should quiet down nicely. And Roma, the last one standing from the side of Aimers, it looks like Vatican Esports do have themselves a nice window to get this steal off. And well, they do. They flip that away from bad Wi-Fi. They get themselves set up nicely with that cash box under control.
Yep, and cash out 8, obviously, under 200 books' ownership. It's going to take some pressure for bad Wi-Fi, who spot that it's being defended by one team and decide that that's not worth a fight. They only want a third party. It's interesting. We're kind of watching quick cash with one team just chilling a lot of the time right now. I hate to call that bad Wi-Fi, but it is quite clear what their game plan is. And it is a valid game plan, right? And I'm going to take some heat for that. I feel like this is definitely an option they have. Unfortunately, it's maybe a valid... Yeah, it's part of the game. It's part of the game. Unfortunately, it's maybe only a valid game plan if you're not also running Riot Shield and Bow. It's they're really hampering themselves here. They are going in for the steal, though. It currently under the ownership of Vatican Esports, who have been wiped. And this is right now bad Wi-Fi coming in to try and get these kills. Aimers are getting involved. They want to try and get this steal. Remka trying to stick it through the cloud of gas, but he decides against it. Strike comes in, finds one. And a second, maybe. No, not quite. The steal is being attempted now by Krieger Blue. 200 books put out of their misery, though, by Remke. And at the end of the day, it's Vatican Esports that come away with the money. Remke is I thought he was... for some reason, I thought he was, like, still stealing in the animation. And just kind of like, if I believe, it's still there. And I can still do it. But no, he was rezzing.
I mean, I'm with you. Sometimes you just got to believe a little bit hard to get that steal done nicely. Tap of Vault 3 is going to happen from the side of Vatican Esports. Going to be in a good position here. Early damage done. 200 books will lose one. Krieger Blue actually not in that fight initially. Strike taking a lot of damage left. 2 blocks to his name. Will have to try and sit and bide his time best he can. But cash out C over there as well. Quick transport with the hands of that gateway. Remke does get himself traded up in his own RPG. C-Wise does find one with the CS, or the KS on the other side of them, but if we dive on board here with the fight for C control, the H+ and Fuse are doing great work to keep your heavy in play, and Strike going to get the benefit of that. But a rotation now down below, and Strike gets himself separated. He has to use that mobility best he can. Great individual pick on the evolution, and he'll use his movement best he can, but running into problem after problem. He dodges that initial hook, he's going to be able to get that one. Double O shut down. And that's going to be a massive moment now from the side of it. That's going to be a massive wipe, and it's going to be a great opening for 200 bucks to get this deal.
Huge. Excellent play from 200 books. Really good from Strike in particular. Look at the kills that Remke's managed to amass as well, as this entire building falls off of the face of the earth, interestingly. Let's take a look back at what it has become. It's now open plan. That's really cool. A lot more airy. You could put a TV on that wall. It would be really nice. You know, maybe a bookshelf up against that second one. I can see it happening. Sorry, I'm 30. I think a lot about interior design. You talk about the bow now with it. Go on.
I mean, I don't know how much Matterlock has done with this bow at this stage, and I dare to ask to see. Oh well, nothing, not much to be honest. It's an unfortunate pick. I just gotta say, Jerry, you're my unorthodox light player of the stack. Was there any sensible decision to go to the bow here in the slightest?
Usually it's what you start on, and then after you lose a few, you move to it. You move off of it. They've decided to go the opposite way, so we'll see how that works. Iolisi is in the thick of it, though. There is definitely opportunity here for Vatican Esports to get this turnaround after being stolen from earlier. But they need to land some of their shots, and it's not quite working for them so far. 200 books still up and fighting. The steal is being attempted here as we hear that siren in the distance, but it falls off. Mando and Krieger Blue collect the kills they need to, and leaves Iolisi squabbling and squandering in the dark. Unfortunately for them, they are out of it. 200 books will secure that cash out for themselves. The second one to their names, and that puts them in a clean first place ahead of Aimers, but only just as the orange team secure theirs on the far side. They've come on in here just to you know, fight the other best team in the lobby. They want to put them down a little bit. So now,
I mean, you may as well show up and just throw some hands. So why not just dive in straight for it and go for it? Krieger Blue will find himself too. Ray could get shut down. Roma as well from that swap to the F car as well. Not using the pike this time around here on Fortune Stadium. And we're just
Yo, Young, hang on. Young has just gifted a tier 1 sub to XQC. Thank you so much. Did you see it at the same time as me?
Yeah. I was somewhat caught off. Like, I'm in level 6.
Yeah, one of a friend of the podcast at XQC. So yeah, Hedora as well. Thank you for the many gifted subs earlier, and a Telco dropping 5 Tapos as well, and Ardy. So many gifted subs that I've only just noticing. Thank you so much. It all goes towards the prize pool. All helps to keep Pro Hubs up and running and motivate these nasty players to continue playing the game at the hardest and highest level. Look at this, Aimers killing everything in their way. Vatican, 200 books, doesn't matter. They're burning down the entire library. What's the library in the Vatican called? That would have been a really good pun if I could remember.
Oh, I think it's just the Vatican Archive, but
yeah, that would have been nice.
The vision is there.
Yeah.
Oh, I believe actually the script for this season is held in the Vatican Archive.
Ah. Well, then why aren't Vatican winning? They should know. They should know what's going on.
You know what, you raise a very valid point. I didn't think that far ahead from my waffle.
This is open plan! They made... Oh, they... Whip it, you'll love this. They've destroyed your least favourite building in the game. They made the hotel building open plan as well.
Thank God. Hotel building is no more. A will be a fun cash out to play. And Aimers, though, will take full advantage of that. They're going to have the massive advantage with it, and it's going to be so in the open. They can just play that verticality and make things work. In a great position here, leading 33,500 to their name. And Bad Wi-Fi have the other cash in their control, and that will be cash out B. Will they be able to hold on and get a little bit of a consolation prize at the end of the day for themselves?
About a minute 30 left, and of course B will be done a little bit sooner than that. You see Vatican now trying to converge, get that vertical play down on top of Bad Wi-Fi. Definitely an opportunity here if they get that DMAT to work. There we go. There's the angle they wanted. Actually, no. Down even further. They reach it up. Doesn't work out, though. They try and bring it up a few more floors. They do have the opportunity to try and steal here. Bad Wi-Fi are quite far away. See why he's playing underneath. Madlock playing from distance with the bow. And they're just posturing here. They're trying to get a read on this very odd Bad Wi-Fi setup. Kloppy here with the DMAT, able to bring it down. Doesn't find anyone on the other side of it. No, he does. Iolisi drops on in, but now they isolate the right shield and take him down. Kloppy out for the count. There's still plenty of time here if they can win this team fight to get the steal.
Massive chaos in the midst of this lobby as well happening in chat I've just witnessed, but with 30 seconds will give the players a little bit of moment to shine as an attempted steal goes out here, but the winch is near but perfect stops that for the time being, but they're going to hop straight back on Evolution. Kept in the fight for a little longer. Maradot can't find the damage done, and he sticks it out beautifully. Flips it in the favor of Vatican Esports. On the other side, we do see Amers just honestly riding this out the victory, but it is all but guaranteed at this stage to Vatican Esports lock one more out, and they do so. Strike gets shut down quickly by the shotgun up close and personal, and Amers will take one more cash out to the nave. Will get themselves one more #1 spot, Jerry. What a chaotic matchup we just had here on Fortune Stadium, but even more in that chat. What a drop, 50 gifted.
Yeah, Hexploit, the real hero of that map. Even ahead of Rainker, who got 15 kills. Because 50 subs, 50 is a bigger number than 15, and that's maths, ladies and gents. Huge.
I'm somewhat like stunlocked myself going into this one. I was not expecting that. But we do see Amers get themselves their third victory of the day, going to get themselves a massive points haul from it, elevating themselves even further at that top of the group, or top of EU so far. Jerry, you said to keep an eye out on Amers, and I think they proved it right.
Yeah, they were the clear favourites going into this group ahead of the rest of the pack, and everyone had their different strategies for dealing with that. We saw, plenty of third partying. Unfortunately, it seems aimers are resistant to it. they are not affected, and they wow. I mean, I feel like, did they outscore everyone else combined? They may have come close when it comes to kills. Maybe not. I want someone to run the numbers on this. Someone take a screenshot. Tell me in chat if aimers outfragged every other team combined, because I think it's there's a possibility there.
I don't doubt that for a second. Dropping 15 is huge. I even had to take a seat. It was that chaotic going into it. Normally I'm on my start. I've had to sit down and relax because it was that crazy going into it. But I mean, what a matchup that we just seen. I think Amers, I think rightfully were able to get their massive points tally. They played exceptional, and it did feel though a little bit on Sis Horizon as well as here on Fortune. The dice of the third party rolled in their favor. They were left alone for a little bit and able to pick up kills when they were given the opportunity to do so, but the cash outs were, I think, fairly uncontested from their side.
Yeah, it was, they were exuding aura. As we like to say a lot of the time, aura is a measurable metric in this game. But I know you're looking at me like that. I blame Ardy, he brought it up. And yeah, it does make a difference. If you have that, then people won't go and take your cash out when you otherwise probably should be targeted. But yeah, it makes a difference. There's the choice. You can go for one cash out or another, and sometimes it helps you to take the easier fight.
It certainly does, and I think, honestly, Jerry, I think you need to find a way to have a measurable stat you can show on a stream saying aura points, because if you can find a way to get that one quantified, it would be perfect. But
you could definitely you could do it, right? You could just give a team an aura point every time they are not attacked in a cash out when they should be, because that's like, over time, you'd get an idea, and I think it would happen. But yeah, either way, we've got ourselves 8 teams already having played today. They are done. They are now waiting for the final 4. Pulsar, Always Hungry, The Goats, and Team Extreme are coming up in Group C, Whippet. This is going to be a really stacked group. Some incredible finals players ready to go. So before we go, I just want to say just a general massive shout out to chat, because you really popped off during that one. So huge. All of those donations go straight to the prize pool, so keep them coming. We still got a whole other group, so take a little break. You can keep those subs coming, we don't mind, but take a break from watching the finals. We'll be back in a few with Group C. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Hello, everybody, and we are back at the prohubs.tf Twitch stream on your favorite internet browser. I am Jerry the Music Man, and this is Whippet, who is here to cast with me as we have collectively lost our marbles during that last group. But hopefully, we're going to gather our marbles back together and throw them all at Group C, because Group C is stacked as hell.
It is, and I cannot wait to get into one. Listen, I will hold my hands up and say I'm a little bit greener when it comes to this competitive scene, and this is a group full of familiar faces, even for a layman like myself, so I cannot wait to see these going into it. It's a change of pace to what we saw on Group B going into Jerry. I'll be looking at the lineup for this one here in Group C. What's your initial thoughts?
My initial thoughts are these are some of the better logos I've ever seen. Pulsar, clean. Goats, beautiful. Always hungry. Something is happening there. And Extreme, genuinely nice logo. So yeah, very excited to see all four of these in the lobby. If I had to pick out any team that I think might struggle in this setup, it is probably Team Extreme. They've had a bit of a roster change in the past week, and also up against some really, really tough teams. But they are a decent side, so...
Do you want me to keep what you said before we went live in confidence, or is the chat ready to hear, Jerry?
Is this about Always Hungry's logo?
You wish it was. I'll keep that for our green room conversation.
Fair enough then. Yeah, I might have said some stuff about things, but yeah, that's all for me. And
things
you.
About stuff and
things
stuff
about
things.
Exactly. The best kind of things are stuff. Here we go. Skyway Stadium, as we've become accustomed to. Our first map of Group C, and we've got Pulsar Esports, possible favourites coming into this group, heading off against the Goats. And maybe I spoke too soon, because actually the Goats are probably favourites coming into this group. They are heavy hitters on the top of this building right now, throwing out the goo, throwing out those gateways, not giving anything for free over the top of this rooftop. And the barricades come out, flaming barrels. Nope, you take that one back. No damage either way, though. Lasky actually the recipient of the most damage, and he will try and heal up, but he's in a bit of a tough spot here. They're playing chess right now. Lasky lands some shots at range, and they fall back to try and regen. That H+ Infuser doing some damage, but Perzon actually wins his 1v1 against Palmer as the Heavy coming out on top on the side of Pulsar Esports. We see the 93R unleashing hell, but he has to fall back because he's taking a lot of damage as well. Carney and Palmer and Treason all back up. A reset for the 3v3. A trade comes out. In fact, make that 2 in the favor of Pulsar Esports, leaving only Palmer, the Heavy, on the Goats. Left just sort of flailing. He's finally found. Palmer taken down by Perzon at the end. And that is a win for Pulsar Esports at the very first. Expect that loggerhead to meet numerous times in this group.
A very, very long-held, stretched-out play we just seen for A. Just going to make things very difficult for B, Kasha B, I should say, going into a zipline thread across here. We're going to hop on board straight away with Team Extreme. Looking to have some success here. Just looking for a way, and at this stage, Rampage does find one. Drax still going to be the first to fall in the midst of this, and well, Team Extreme just struggling to get themselves in this fight. We've seen them losing the first pick every time they dive into a team fight so far. Just been tough for them, it seems.
Oh, a pick there. Leading dagger taken out by Jurgen, and now leaving only Jordan. They chase him down. Light is wily. He manages to dodge out of another shot. He'll hit that regen soon enough, but that is virtually a team wipe. As of course, he has to kind of recover. Oh, Carnifex finds him. That is a wipe against Team Extreme, but they have to deal with the third party here. They're dealing with it quite nicely as Treason finds the first pick onto Always Hungry. Rampage goes down. Jurgen taking a beating as well. The Goats aren't in the best state, or Always Hungry, sorry, aren't in the best state. And the Goats are the ones who benefit. In they come, and they collect all of those frags. Well, not quite. As actually, sorry, the res has come through. It's still a 3v3 Whippet.
It is chaos absolutely everywhere. I've caught mid-drink there, Jerry.
Yeah,
dive straight into that. And there's going to be a massive bitch landing from that shotgun up close to find some damage on towards Rampage. The revive does go off, though. Unfortunately, Jurgen is going to be the one from this, going to be left with a bit of defib sickness for the time being, trying to recover his teammates at this point, diving away. Steel should go out with a winch, is going to be perfect for it. Denies that for a little bit longer, Always Hungry. Just find themselves on the back foot, really struggling for it.
Telco and Perzon and a Telco find their kills on the far side, defending cash out A or B rather nicely. The steal is still coming through here, but a great positioning from Treason. Leverages that pike, already collecting tons of kills after that first cash out. One of the real standout players on the medium role at present in EU. And that puts them well ahead of the pack right now. Pulsar Esports look like they're going to cash in their 8k fairly shortly. And that will put them in first place, just ahead of the GOATs. But very nice start for the two teams to be expected to take control early on.
The script is being followed, it does feel, and I think that's the point, though. There's going to be a massive difference from this group to the one that we previously saw. Yes, we had aimers in the previous time, but it was always a little bit of a chaos going around. I feel like with two teams that are going to be the top dogs here, going to be fighting for supremacy. A great pickup there. Drax will find himself two in the midst of that, out toward Palmer, and the GOATs fire down the one. Carnifex, the last one standing on that light. I'm just going to be trying to bide his time a little bit longer. Scrappy fights. Everyone seemingly converging on the top of this building. Around vault 3. Laxi will get one more. Lecto finds one on the Jordan as well. It's going to be a wipe to go off the board.
Lasky is just going to carry that vault all the way to catch out C. Get it started once again for Pulsar Esports. They are serial winners, it seems. They're going to carry that momentum, just that they generally have in life, into this game. And Team Extreme now trying to surge up from beneath. They could take the lift if they so choose. It might be a bit of an obvious route, of course. The audio makes a difference. Yeah, let's stick on some finals lo-fi. Why not? And now, thank you very much, Bruta. Now we will head into the game again as the drop comes through. They've taken it out of the sightline of Pulsar Esports. Looks like at the moment Jordan wants to hide in amongst the smoke, bait in that utility. Leaning Dagger dropping it once more. Lasky lurking above. At some point soon, these two teams are going to lock horns. It's going to be next few moments, I would guess, as the steal is going to be forced here. That should be the trigger for Pulsar Esports to collapse.
Also going to take that moment just to dive straight on from it, and they're going to be able to lose one player early. Person's going to get one trader back. They're going to be a 2 versus 2 at this stage. Shotgun's going to do a mess of damage, and Goat's going to benefit from that. All down to one member. That's good. The last one standing here on Pulsar. Glitch barrel in hand to try and toss that one out. Does connect with it. Hit markers are good. Boost should buy a bit of space. Good DMAT. They'll pull this straight in the elevator shaft. And this is going to be a great opportunity to get this steal. Dome shield, the barricade as well. What a play. The GOAT to get this one. Dome, but one sneaks in through the line. Carnifex is good for the cover. And the H+ infuser repairs that damage done. And the steal is perfect. The GOATs get themselves that one locked in nicely.
Very interesting post H+ infuser nerf. It seems as though you want to be on that gun, you want to get the kill rather than protecting, because that's obviously the best way to stop that source of damage and then heal afterwards. We might have seen in previous patches that you would stick on the heal no matter what, but in come Team Extreme, hoping for an opening. Great RPG to open the fight out for the GOATs. They do have to get themselves out of this spot, though, and the lift comes down, causing some positional issues. The Witch is enough, though, and then they unleash hell. Carnifex and Palmer empty their mags into the collective bodies of Team Extreme. Jordan left alive, but smoking from that pressure and from the fire sent his way. All he can do is wait for the GOATs to disperse so that he can res his teammates and go for that third wave of cash outs.
Great defense setup from the GOATs there, playing that in the bottom of the elevator shaft. And you mentioned, though, they got a little bit compromised by the elevator going down itself, made that movement difficult, but you're forcing everyone from the offensive opposition to dive into such a confined space. It does not work out many times. The defensive high ground advantage and a great opening RPG just made things oh so difficult from them. The GOATs do lead now, 30,000 in their bank account, always hungry, sitting in second place, 25,000 to their name. That's going to be Jordan finds one. The GOATs going to lose 2 players now, find themselves in the midst of a third party. Palmer, the last one standing, laying and dancing around vault 6. Pulsar in a great position, all 3 bodies still standing. And Jordan just darting around. Glitch grenade causing chaos. Picks up one more. Palmer does catch himself with the RPG. The GOATs do wipe out here. BU does get plugged nicely and set up. And we're going to hop on board here at Team Extreme in a great position.
Yeah, and we have right now always hungry ahead by a comfortable amount here if they can hold on to this cash out on the other side of the map. It will secure them first place. Would have to be a ton of kills going the way of Pulsar Esports to steal it from them while just holding on to the single cash out, but that could happen. We have seen stranger things and more impressive things from Pulsar in particular, but they aren't meeting much resistance, and that could prove their undoing. Not enough players coming their way. Everyone seemingly wanting to go and take things out on the other side of the map instead. But no, they do get a whiff of Team Extreme, and Leading Dagger taken out, swiftly followed by the Heavy, it would seem. No, somehow he keeps himself alive, does Drax. Jordan's still in the fray as well. Persian now left as the only player alive on Pulsar. He has to kite for a while. Telko has coined back in Lasky as well on the tail end of his respawn timer. Is able to get back. Team Extreme have recovered, but they're in a decent position here to try and go for the steal. Pulsar Esports had to go for a retake effectively as they are out of position. Want to see how this resolves, but no. First steal is failed. Winch comes out. That will drag Drax out of position, and Perzon finds a second as well as he connects onto Leading Dagger, and that's a wipe onto Team Extreme. It goes their way. Unfortunately, it looks as though Always Hungry have the cash in their hand, but they have been wiped as well by the Goats. That would put the Goats in first place, and they've successfully stolen. I don't think the respawn timers are going to work out for either of these wiped teams, Whippet. There's 30 seconds left here on the timer, but I think everyone has got no chance of making a final steal.
I think this is somewhat locked in at that stage, and a perfect double wipe from these teams. Watching it, the Goats were able to get that at the same time. Pulsar picked it up, but the two top dogs of this group should be able to coast their way to victory, and it looks like everyone closer proximity out towards B. One team, Team Extreme, arriving into A, but with 7 seconds left in the timer. It is all but done. Locked in nicely for the top dogs here in our Group C. And it will be ultimately victory for the Goats, taking that #1 spot on a full 100 points. 51,000 in cash goes straight to their balance. What a play from them. And a last-second wipe gets everything unlocked. Always Hungry. So tantalizingly close to getting that cash out.
Yeah, the first and second place teams coming into today's Playday gain exactly those finishing standings here on Skyway. Sis Horizon is up next, excuse me. And then the spoiled shared amongst the rest. Now, Always Hungry are definitely a top side, but this is going to be a tough battle for them to fight their way out of third place on average in a lobby that has Pulsar and the Goats in it. Team Extreme are really going to struggle as well. I feel as though there is a very clear divide in class between these teams, but of course, that's the status quo. We've seen it play out, but we know that that isn't always the case in the finals.
The thing I really want to say, though, is, like, yes, I think I have to agree. I think we see the very clear divide here in the group with the two top teams going into it, and then a closely competed down below between Team Extreme and Always Hungry. But you said it perfectly. When we look at this game, and just to style how things go, all it takes is a couple of team fights to slide the other way, and you can have a massive upset result and a big tally of points going to one of these teams that are a little bit lower in the standings. So I wouldn't say it's over yet, and anything can happen in a game like this, but I think there's levels to this for a reason, and we've seen those two top teams display those perfectly. Even the way they were moving to the map and the decision-making those mid-team fights was superb. They had complete control, and not once did either Pulsar or Goats ever look to be flustered or panicked. They were always calm and collected, and that's a hallmark of an incredibly talented team.
Yeah, and it's worth noting as well that the Goats are a team that were kind of put together fairly recently of three incredibly talented players. They came into this league as the best qualifying team, but always with this target on their backs, knowing that they would be big contenders. Carnifex, Palmer, and Treason are three exceptional players, and the only difference really between them and Pulsar as it stands is that one position on the table and a little bit more longevity amongst the Pulsar roster. Lasky being the most recent addition, and I did mention this last time, Lasky was a real standout light player in the midst of the last season's Pro Hubs, and him joining this roster has only strengthened it. I'm very excited to watch the rest of this group play out, not just as a 4-team battle, but seeing every fight that Pulsar and the Goats take against each other, because it's definitely a precursor to what we can expect to see in some of the 3v3 battles up ahead.
It's always intriguing to see these teams line up for it. I think you almost stole the thought process from my head there as these teams get lined up for it nicely. Early damage done. Some already, Pulsar not finding themselves too healthy from it. The 9-3R getting some great value so far. Team Extreme find themselves incredibly wounded at this early stage. Jordan gets that regen off, but just chipped away so far by Lasky. And while it just proves to be too difficult, picked off one by one on that bridge. Jordan, the last one standing, and a wipe likely imminent from the side of Team Extreme. And they do get locked out eventually. Great damage done yet again on towards Always Hungry. Does seem it's going to be a double wipe for these teams. Last one standing is going to be Jurgen. He might get chased down at this stage. I think they will hunt him down, trying to find that why. But of course, every kill is going to be that extra point that they want to hunt down. But they're opting, they rather get this cash flowing, so they'll dive out with that box, run that straight A.
Yep, Lasky and the rest of Pulsar resisting some extra pressure there from teams that really want to go at them. They're proving that they can fend off any number of threats. The Goats now have gotten their cash out started a little bit in advance. Of course, had the benefit of not coming under as much pressure, finishing their fights very quickly. Steal now being attempted here by Team Extreme after Pulsar Esports get that plug. Pulsar Esports happy to let it happen. That's a sign of a good team. They know that the fight isn't for the steal. The fight is for the kills. They're going to try and position themselves to find them, immediately dealing a lot of damage, taking out leading Dagger, finding the opening pick of this fight.
Lots of chaos arriving from it. Drax and Person going to find themselves trading off. Electo's going to get one more. Drax slain. Jordan's going to be caught from the midst of that one. And Team Extreme wiped up nicely. The 9th yard collects things up. And it should be a fairly easy steal from the side of Pulsar to get things locked out. And they do flip that in their favor. The Goats still controlling their own cash out. Not finding significant pressure. Heavy down below. It's just toying with the idea.
Yeah. Does find that pick onto Treason. It's going to open up the opportunity for a steal. Treason, look at this. We saw this last week, Ripper. If you didn't see it, it's the Sky Fortress that the Goats like to employ. Unfortunately for them this time round, it has cost them the cash out, but they trail back with those kills. And that has made a big difference. Rampage now down to a smidgen of HP, but they still have the cash out, which he can defend from range, and he does get the angle. An unfortunate position there. Poor positioning of the barricade from Palmer. The stick is being attempted here now by Treason as the Palmer, the heavy, is body blocking, and he provides enough cover just about to get that steal. Jurgen and Yoip coming in here for the attempted re-steal in the last possible seconds, and they may just manage it here as they get the kills. Treason trying to find the deny, and can he do it? No, he can't, but the timer is his friend as Jurgen kills him but cannot get the steal.
That was so tantalizingly close to be able to find that one. Wasn't able to get that counter steal. We do see the Goats wiped out from this stage. They do lead so far. Kill tallies, Jerry. So everyone seems to be fairly evenly distributed. Team Extreme, though, not really getting themselves out of the block so far. Drax, the only one scoring on that kill tally so far from this team. Let's see if they can begin to get a little momentum rolling here on Sis Horizon. And they're going to be upstairs or down below from Always Hungry. One player already slain out from this side, separate from the heavy and picked off one by one. While Team Extreme, they're struggling to get the kills. Jordan will find one to the tally, and it just looks like, well, time to bide your time and look for your totem to get the revives off, and that's exactly what we'll see happening here from Jurgen.
Yeah, he was very disconnected from his team there, kind of left his teammates to the dogs. Well, specifically Jordan, who gobbled up all of them, but unfortunately now those dogs are being put down as Team Extreme get melted by Perzon in particular. Pulsar Esports coming in with a vengeance there. Now they have to possibly fend off the resurgent Always Hungry, the first team to be taken out in this three-way melee, who are now all up themselves, hoping to chase down Pulsar Esports, who are trying to reposition, but Always Hungry are hot on their tails.
Just playing down below.
Oh, good spot.
Animation. And what a great shot from Rampage. Massive use of that pike. The defib is perfect for the try and negate the damage best as possible. Massive hook off the defib. Scoring a great trade-off. And it's going to be a massive runaway here from the side of Pulsar. Telco finding himself just scrambling away. Might be able to escape, but a great close up of that wall. Unfortunately, he does get shut down eventually. The 9th yard enough to get him locked out. And well, Pulsar still have control. The runaround might be enough to delay some time. 5 seconds left on the coin. Last one available. And with a lot of time and a full phase left to go, going to burn that coin. So Pulsar, Coin Eco, not looking the greatest so far.
No, but they've kept themselves in control of this cash out with all of those coins and all that runaround. Always Hungry also now struggling to stay alive under pressure from the third party of Pulsar. Oh, sorry, not third party of Pulsar. Third party of Team Extreme, who are coming in. Rampage, though, fending off some aggression. And Pulsar Esports are very grateful for this. It's allowed them the time to reset and sort of calibrate their defenses. Look at this. The chase is going on. Rampage running away as hard as he can. Yoip is very close to that coin, but this has really thrown a spanner in the works of Always Hungry. The Goats are really benefiting from this as well. On the other side, they're just quietly going about their business, holding their point. Might begin to see a steal here as Team Extreme open out a spot for themselves, but no, there's just too much utility. They decide to bail.
They don't want
he's
to.
hungry.
They just want to get out of this one for the time being. Going to be a dive in here from Pulsar so he can make this one successful, and they do so. Going to be a massive flurry and absolute chaos around everything. Great damage done, but the Infuser should keep them alive. Is the steal even on the menu? No, it's not. Denied at the final hurdle. They tried their best to get it done, but we see Pulsar wipe away. Always hungry, caught in the wipe as well. Team Extreme still standing. It is just going to be one more. It's going to be the two top dogs yet again, Jerry, locking out that 1 and 2 position here in this group. And big thing, though, is the coin economy isn't looking too great for the side of Pulsar. If they get caught out here, they might find themselves in a difficult position in this final cash out.
Yeah, you'd say on paper that the Goats have a slight advantage coming into this final wave, but, you know, coins sometimes just don't matter in the long run, and we've got 2 minutes left. Maybe each player has an opportunity to coin in once, but I believe there was one player on Pulsar, I don't know who it was, that is out of them, so that will hinder their movements if they commit to fights too heavily. We'll see how it plays out. 6 Volt has been freed from its cage and will be walked on over, or run on over, to cash out C. Leading Dagger finding a kill onto one player on Pulsar. Down goes another. Telko, the last one standing in orange. He does get the plug while his teammates have to coin back in. Thankfully, those are members that do have coins to spend. So they should come back in, but they won't be... Well, he won't be under absolutely no pressure in that time. Particularly, it looks as though in Team Extreme are circling, and I think Telko smartly is deciding to leave it.
I think falling away and just staying alive to live the fight of the day is a wise choice. It was a long time till Lasker comes back in, now finally using that coin. Person as well, finally back in the fray. So we do see all the Pulsar back available to it. The Goats now leading in terms of this one. A nice 18,000 extra to their benefit. Both teams are tantalizingly close, separated by a single kill on this tally. 500 in cash, split them from great use of that DMAT. Trying to buy some space, having to force a double DMAT from it. Try and get that control. Pike's going to do some great damage. Will pop that gas canister and look to make an entrance way in towards A at this stage.
He's making a rescue run towards his heavy there. Sees Perzon on 1 HP and decides, no, I need to reconnect with him. He needs my DMAT. He needs my goo. Everything to protect him. The big Kasich taking a bit of a beating here from behind by Team Extreme, who come out trumps. Jordan finding one as they resurge with that defib as well. Lasky, though, trades it out onto Drax. There's a 2 versus 2 between the red and orange sides. Telko gets that res, though. Lasky finds a second in the fight. Team Extreme wiped out as the Telko finds the kill with a pike. They have an opportunity to go for the steal, but there is cover from afar. Always hungry, watching their cash out this whole time. Team Extreme will do the defending for them. Winch back inside now with about 30 or 40 seconds left. They can try and stick this steal, but there's too much heat in their direction. They're going to try and resurge again, find their positioning. Oh, unfortunate positioning there from Joip. He climbs the ladder, meets his demise. Now it's a 3 versus 2 whip it, and there is cover from above. Can Always Hungry hold on?
They need to find some success here. It's going to be absolute chaos. Jurgen on the heavy is going to play an oh-so important role. Great steal out here from Pulsar. Locks it out. And Always Hungry now find themselves on the back foot to make an absolute dive bomb. If they want to get a counter steal, should be a freebie here. The Winch is enough to get it done. Finding 2, finding 3. Huge play here. Absolutely massive moment from the side of Pulsar. And that's going to be it nicely locked up from them. It will be a very similar position that we saw previously. Goats and Pulsar dominating our top 2 standings after another absolutely chaotic conclusion. Sissa Rising provided absolutely perfect gameplay.
And Pulsar coming out on top. They were the recipients of so much third party in that game.
It was ridiculous.
But they benefited from it, right? The Goats had a very easy ride from start to finish, but you don't come first with an easy ride. Sometimes you've just got to get stuck in, and they didn't get as many fights sent their way. As we look at the scoreboard here, we'll probably see that the kills made a massive difference. Look at that. Is that 22 kills between the whole of Pulsar compared to 9 on the Goats? And that's, what, a difference of 5k? More than 5k? So those kills absolutely made the difference for Pulsar Esports.
That is just huge. I mean, that's going to be that massive moment where you just teams are able to sync up and get everything lined up perfectly in terms of those kills. That massive 3-piece by Person right at the end as well is going to be a huge benefit to them. Getting them an extra 1.5 in their tally, that is just a huge moment where you can stand up tall and say on an individual basis, you can win moments like that. And wow, Pulsar get themselves a lovely extra 100 points to their tally.
Yeah, and that hierarchy is really starting to play out here. We're seeing across the first 2 maps, positions 1 and 2 traded between Pulsar and I forgot their name. The Goats. Just drew a blank there for a second. And then positions 3 and 4 between Always Hungry and Team Extreme traded once again. So at some point that trend might be upset, but that's kind of what we were expecting coming into this group. And it really is a case of the best teams making their statement, making their claim. And I'm just so impressed by the quality that they have to be able to withstand so much pressure. Whichever team is receiving, you know, the extra brunt of a team trying to think, yeah, you know, we've got to go in for these third parties. We need to take every edge we can get against these teams that can really gun, that are really coordinated, that practice day in, day out. And they sometimes they're just being met with a wall that can win 3v6s. I don't know what else to say.
I mean, I was very, very impressed from that. I mean, there's moments when I watch this, and we saw Group B, I'm like, oh my, like, it was chaosing. There's moments in this that I've been left but almost kind of breathtaking by just the decision-making and the snap decisions that both Pulsar and the Goats be making about what fights to take, when to take those fights, and their positioning and overall just ability to read and manipulate the game in their favor has been fantastic time and time again. And of course, when you have players at this level that can not only perform on the mental side of a game like this, but they're able to do it with their keyboard and mouse and able to find those impacts like that 3-piece from Perzon and the rest of the kills that they collected from that series were ultimately the reason they got that #1 spot. It is a joy to watch them, and the Goats will try and get that one back from this and see if they can find success.
First fight over the rooftops is between Pulsar and the Goats. They're looking to get that tempo in their favor. Spawns always seem to be producing this standoff at the very start, which is very exciting to me. Oh, that's an easy shot or set of shots for a Telco, taking Treason out of midair. When you're the only medium left in the fight, you're probably going to swing this one with the advantage the defibs can provide. And find the second one. Lasky and a Telco emptying into Palmer there. Carnifex left the last alive. It's a light play. He's not going to try and take a 1 versus 3. The regroup is there from Pulsar Esports, and they can guide their way across. But, of course, there is always that temptation, the carrot on the end of the stick, of getting that wipe. And maybe they will chase Carnifex if they have the opportunity.
Coin timers, though, just falling out a little bit. They do have the option to get their coins go. Treason and Palmer just going to be very available to them. Carnifex still taking his time, and then not burning them straight away. Carnifex does find himself in a little bit of trouble. Does not win the one, unfortunately. Ooh. And Alaska does get that, and that's going to be a bit of a disaster from the Goats here. Not the ideal start they would have wanted to the opening cash out. They're going to be out of the fray for around 15 more seconds. They'll have a little bit less to make those decisions.
Possibly making that call that they don't want to coin early. That's the only thing I can think of there, is that they were like, oh, Carnifex actually is better that you just go in and die quicker. That is often the case in the finals. We see some pressure now from Team Extreme, but look at those health bars. Drax and Jordan having taken flak here from Pulsar Esports, who are well set on this defense. Lasky finds his first, as he always does. Perzon taking out Jordan with the benefit of a fortunately timed explosion from a fire barrel. And that is a clean wipe. Not a single casualty so far for Pulsar Esports. On the other side, Always Hungry. They're coming under pressure now from the Goats.
Pulsar have looked near but perfect at this stage. ARN just not having the raw DPS to get that one confirmed. A scrambly fight here on the Assault rooftop and a drop down from that DMAT. And that ARN should be able to collect one more, but not happy again. That raw burst DPS costing them the H+ Infuser. Great damage. The double barrel should collect one, or at least help so, as Jurgen will find 2 from it. And the Goats find themselves for the second time in the opening phase wiped out completely and set to an agonizing long reset. 10 seconds for them until they're back into the fray. Pulsar look normal but guaranteed at this point to lock things out of Telco with that pike just chipping away, making this a very unappealing gunfight to take at distance.
And we can see, of course, the impact of burst damage. You know, having small openings to deal your damage in. Sometimes it benefits you to have that shotgun, to have that pike, whatever it might be. This wall of goo is causing a real problem for Team Extreme. They cannot get an opening, a sightline onto the cash out. Drax kills himself, unfortunately. Leading Dagger trading with a Telco there as the res comes through. And Pulsar Esports undo their 1 casualty so far this game and wipe Team Extreme in the process. Utter dominance from the team in orange. Right now, Always Hungry. Not close behind in terms of cash after having that successful defense against the Goats. We head on to the second wave of cash outs with both Team Extreme and the Goats really not hitting their stride. Very few points between them. The Goats at least get the tap on that vault for an initial 1k to bolster their earnings.
Goats just finding themselves just repeatedly on the wrong end of a wipe, it seems. An opening engagement with Pulsar, then the defensive Team Extreme are from Always Hungry, just really kind of taking them out of this early stage, and it's going to put a lot of pressure here on this second set of vaults and cash outs. Palmer's going to get a great gateway, trying to run away, and they'll get that plug in the C. Playing in the open section, the top stands of the stadium, the amphitheater. Great hook, and that's going to be finding one. Jurgen's going to be off the card. Palmer will get that. Amidst the chaos, still dancing on the dome shield. The attempt to steal off that totem does not work. The defense is there, and I think our heavy of Palmer's going to find himself compromised. Carnifex does find one. The Jurgen Jordan's going to get that trade-off though, and he's finding himself a second one now as in arrives Always Hungry. They get themselves completely wiped out. Trees the last one standing from the side of the Goats, and yet again for the third time here on Bernal, the Goats find themselves wiped away, and the cash out taken up by Team Extreme.
Team Extreme with a very adept third party there. I have to give credit to Palmer for putting out so much damage before he went down, but it took a lot out of Always Hungry, and that really was just the benefit, or Team Extreme were the benefactors of that engagement as a whole. So now, 40 seconds or so elapsed on both cash outs as we hear plenty of ping spamming. Cash out D now under the watchful eye of Pulsar Esports, and under specifically because they are right on top of this building, having repositioned the cash out outside. Always Hungry thinking twice about going straight on in. Again, playing the third-party game, maybe concocting a plan as we speak. This looks like an evil meeting. If they had like if they had an evil finger pyramid emote in this game, they'd be doing it right now.
This is where you want your, for lack of a better term here, your endgame later to make that decision, but the third party will be a perfect timed one as the second team just shows up and arrives, and that's going to be the trigger warning, I think, for all of them to dive on in, but they're going to be found in this one. Always Hungry, taking a little bit of early damage. Jurgen is going to have a kiss with the ARN. Hands of Carnifex. Just escape and play and dance around these villas for the time being for a little bit longer. I'm just concerned this is going to be a delay from both these teams, an absolute mess. Everyone's stacking up, and well, Team Extreme benefiting from this massively is they're going to have a quiet time with their cash out.
Yeah, we saw this earlier, almost in this exact same position on Bernal. Teams just don't want to push this area. It's so easy to defend from that high ground. In comes all the utility from both teams, Pulsar and the Goats diving on top. The Goats, unfortunately, being melted by that Piker Telco, dishing out the damage. In come Always Hungry to try and go for that third party. The timer is not in their favor, though. Purzon finds a kill onto Treason to wipe them, and the trades come out between Always Hungry and Pulsar Esports. The pink team come out on top, but again, Pulsar Esports playing their objective perfectly. That's the first time they've all died, but they are way out in front in terms of cash.
Massive advantage for Pulsar, and at this stage it's all about game management. They are in great control from this, a great tally of points coming their way. They'd love to get this one locked out nicely if they can get themselves a number one seed yet again. That's an extra 100 points to their tally. Again, on the standings, Pulsar are behind the Goats. This could be a massive opportunity as Goats have been in slow starters here in Bernal. If they can fire back, hit themselves, this could be a massive effect for the standings in total. The Goats really struggling to get themselves motivated and running here in the streets of Mexico. Farmer finds some early damage. Carnifex does get one pick of his own. Treason is well fighting away, but we'll hop on board here with Rampage. They're going to run this straight towards the cash out. They might find themselves very quickly ran into and collided by and crashed into by the side of Pulsar. They'll pad themselves to the top of the church and look to get this plug in the A. Chase is good, and demat themselves down. They should find this plug in A, and they have done. Double dip will arrive. The Fox 5 is here,
no.
and it is going to be an absolute calamity now for the Goats to get a massive amount of points here. They're going to need to be able to convert this into a steal, and this is going to be very difficult with all three teams fighting over this.
Well, Palmer was the one that was delivering it. He knew that they needed to get into that double given their treacherous points tally to get a chance of going ahead. But now, of course, Palmer, having been that delivery boy, is a heavy, was very exposed, taken out, and the team has to wait for him to regroup. Carnifex looks like he's about to go down. That's calamitous right now for the Goats. They may have just squandered their opportunity to really get a proper go at this. They're going to be looking at like a fourth party situation at the death. And Purzon is putting the pressure on as well. He's chasing Treason away. At the moment, we're talking about the Goats trying to catch up. Let's think about Always Hungry, holding on to this point. Still no pressure for the steal. Team Extreme just waiting, but I don't think they're in an ideal position. They want to be the third party, the fourth party. Everyone wants to be the third party, the fourth party on this final doubled cash out. Always Hungry have it to do. They have to time and manage their resources effectively to hold this off.
The biggest thing, if you're looking at the third party of this one, you're going to realize that the Goats need to make a play, so they can't sit and wait for this one. Treason's going to find himself the first to fall, and this is going to be a bit of a disaster class. The long-range availability at the side of this one, the Pike shuts it down.
The flag.
The goats are in a difficult spot, but you mentioned it. There's going to be an entryway down below. That's going to be Pulsar.
We're attempting it. Jordan kept them off, though. It seems as though Pulsar wanted to go above, but Jordan just being a bit of a wasp, benefiting side defending, always hungry. They send one down to be a bit closer. Everyone's swarming it now. Only about 20 seconds left. Everyone wants to close that distance. Team Extreme coming in. Everyone. Pulsar Esports. Just all the players in this lobby. The kills are going to rain in out. I don't think it's even possible to cast this ending. We're going to see an attempted steal coming out from God knows who. It looks like it's Pulsar Esports who are in on it. How are they not being stopped by anyone? What is this? Pulsar Esports! They've gone to steal at the death! Always hungry, where were you?
I am almost at a loss for words, always hungry. We're on the precipice of a first place finish here in Bernal, but caught napping in the final quarter, and Pulsar will dive in and get a steal to get themselves a second first place finish here, Jerry. What a moment, and the biggest thing for Pulsar going in is a massive points tally advantage over the GOATs. Not only inside of this group is it fun to watch these two top teams battle, but on the global standings here in the EU, Pulsar are just behind the GOATs. The GOATs now have their lead beginning to shrink away. You got to feel that pressure beginning to rise.
Always hungry, collecting a bit more points as well in their ascent, and a lot of kills there. Jurgen stepping up, especially with 9 kills. But I mean, they dropped the ball when it mattered most. It cost them a lot there in the standings. They could have gathered 100. Instead, they only get 60. It was just strange. I mean, usually you see those sorts of points play. I mean, you've been there a million times with it. You've seen those points play out. There's kill after kill after kill. No one can stick a steal. That felt quiet. There were barely any kills in the final 20 seconds, and Pulsar snuck away with it.
I feel like a lot of teams there just made a decision making, realizing that GOATs are going to be really driven to try and dive in, so let's beat a third party off their initial entryway. And the wise choice from Pulsar was, let's just remain relaxed from this, and if we see an opportunity to dive in to get that 100-point guarantee, let's do it late on. And they done it perfectly, right at the death, when everybody's worried about chaos. And I think at some stage, did Always Hungry think at that point that it was already done? Did they think they had this guaranteed? There was too much chaos, and they maybe wandered away looking for those extra kills going into it. But you look at Pulsar and say, ultimate opportunists, they took that moment, and they earned those 100 points. And I will double down, a difficult day for the GOATs. A triple wipe going into it, wiping 3 times in a row, really find themselves behind the pace here in Bernal. Not the start they would have wanted. If we get ready for Fortune Stadium, can they turn that around? But Pulsar in the driver's seat here in Group C. Can they keep the momentum rolling? Or will it be another masterclass from the GOATs to drag this one back?
It's been a strange journey for the GOATs today. They definitely earned their first place position on Skyway. On Sis Horizon, they barely had to fight, and maybe they got cold. You know, going into that map, like they couldn't win a fight to save their lives, and it's cost them. It's put them in the last place in that map. They really need to wait back up again, warm back up again. We'll tune back in to Telco though, who's been exemplary leading the charge for Pulsar Esports. They're going to come into contact with Team Extreme over here on the hotel building. Our third visit to Fortune Stadium for the day. Team Extreme taking height to try and collapse down on the orange squad.
I think this is the right choice. Diving in with the RPG, great damage done, and the win should be good. Perzon will be first to fall from it. But Palmer from the GOATs does get caught on the action as well on the other side of the map. Trade there as Jurgen gets himself revived into the fight. Treason's going to get a fall, and Carnifex, the last one standing from the side of the GOATs. Great plug arriving. Lots of chaos early. All teams wounded, bar one. Team Extreme, the beneficiaries, they'll get themselves a nice little plug. They should be able to get the steal.
Yeah, it's a strange position there.
Tantalizingly close. A great flank is there. Lower barrel gets Lasky, and it's going to be a great one from Team Extreme.
Yeah, Pulsar Esports making the decision to plug in a 2 versus 2 is very strange, and Team Extreme were able to res up in that time, get the kills and get the trade or get the steal. So now Pulsar Esports, they have coined back in, I believe, so that they can try and pressure this immediately, prevent any sort of quick setup from Team Extreme. That said, Team Extreme have already winched it way out of the building and are hiding right in the corner of the map, as we can see. Of course, Pulsar Esports don't know this. They're just wondering how they tackle this. They're going to dive straight on in, sweep the perimeter. Perzon brings it indoors. Now, of course, Team Extreme will have seen this, but I think he thinks he's locked them out. He's trapped in here with them. But Team Extreme don't know how open and how free this kill onto the heavy is, so nothing is happening.
The amount of patience that we're seeing from Team Extreme is incredible. They're actually going to get pulled out of cover at this point. They're going to lose concealment and that hard cover. And some early damage taken. Drax will be the first victim of that high ground contained. There's going to be a rival now of Always Hungry as well. Jurgen's going to take an absolute beating. And top 4 control held atop the building. Itelco just tapping away with that pike in hand. Should be able to find some success with it. Furzon does find one with his shotgun. The revival of Jurgen underneath it is there. To find himself wounded from that sickness for a little bit, but Always Hungry, benefiting from a very delayed stage of this fight. It will get pulled away out of their control. They'll attempt to steal it, but I think Pulsar might try and stick this all the way. They got a great Fortress of Goo, and I think they should get it. They will be able to get this one locked out. A great flip from the side of Pulsar. Or perhaps I speak too soon. No, I haven't. They get it done, and the Goats should be able to get a lockdown as well. As a massive team fight here unravels around B.
Always Hungry diving in for the third party, and they couldn't even stick it. Incredible. Unbelievable. And there we have now the Goats also sticking their defense successfully on the far side. Relatively unscathed as per usual. Now we go into the second wave of cash outs here. With no one particularly standing out in terms of score. But, of course, we've returned to the status quo. The Goats have managed to get back into a game. Pulsar Esports just slightly ahead of them. In fact, they're going to be exactly neck and neck as this final cash out gets confirmed with a kill. Just bumping the Goats up by 500. Everyone converging on the same part of the map now. This is going to be the craziest and possibly most meaningless fight that we'll see in this lobby. Yoip gets the proceedings opened as he finds 2. The double barrels are ruling this, it would seem, as Jordan finds one as well. He's flexed onto that gun. Drax finds one, and it looks as though that's a wipe onto Pulsar Esports. Team Extreme are now the next to go down, as Drax is very close to death, but he fights 2 on his way out. And he fights 3! He's just wiped Always Hungry by himself.
And no time for celebration as the Goats completely shut down any chance of that revive. But what a play. The Shaq 50 caught out in a reload, but it was honestly an opening for Drax to find one. And he's got himself 5 kills, an extra 5 points for his side. Team Extreme will be thankful for that. The Goats, in the midst of all that chaos, have found themselves with a plug, and they're defending nicely on Cash Out C. And they're getting a lot of time. Great stagger here from them. Really going to make this an awkward play from both these teams. The gateway should be a nice elevation and momentum maker. There we go. Got there eventually to help them get this cash out nicely, as Pulsar will be trailing behind the Goats at this stage.
Good gateway set up here to quickly deposit that cash out, and they're going to winch it out of place. No, in fact, they were trying to winch a incumbent Jordan, and they do manage to pin down that Wasp, take him out. Lasky taken out, though, in response by Leaning Dagger. 2 versus 2 between Team Extreme and Pulsar, but Pulsar are not letting it slip. Out comes the damage. Leaning Dagger, unfortunately, meets his demise from his own gas mine. Carnifex, though, coming in, taking down a lot of players on the Always Hungry. That's on the other side of the map, excuse me. Itelco finds the kill onto Drax, and that is a clean wipe on the Team Extreme. Now, these cash outs are not desperately far away. No, I am mistaken. That is a cash out in C, all the way in Hospital, which is going to make things really difficult. A very easy defense for the Goats, as they should see that out. Of course, this massive stagger means that a lot of flak is going to come in the direction of Pulsar. We may even see the Goats head on over there to try and put their key rivals down a peg or 2.
I mean, this is going to be a great opportunity, as you say, for Goats just to play around this active cash out the second and Sarah. And I wonder, though, when they're going to make the decision just to pivot away, realizing that they could be a great third party for this. Always Hungry, diving in, they'll run themselves straight into Team Extreme. Do Goats make the decision just to avoid this potential mass conflict and just get themselves Vault 5, run at the cash out B, and get that easy guarantee of cash, and just kind of manage their risks at this stage? They want to maximize the points best they can. They want to be able to fight back. I've got a feeling they might just try and get themselves an easy plug here.
Yeah, sometimes it's very tempting to go for those cash outs, but as they always say, a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush, and you've got to try and keep control of this game. Of course, that final cash out as well, being lots more cash, does make a difference too. Here we go, an engage coming in from Jurgen and co, as Always Hungry do spy an opportunity to try and get cash out D. They want to go for the bird in the bush instead. Lasky, though, always seems to be that first point of resistance. Meets Rampage with a hail of bullets. Purzon as well. Atelco chimes in with his own kills. Team Extreme, though, coming out and trying to put pressure on as a third party here. Lasky is down and out. And there's a potential time for steal. No, there isn't. Team Extreme is just a little bit late to the party. And it always seems that way. Pulsar Esports, even if they have to fend off a second party, just have a way to keep crossing that line.
Just able to kite and delay long enough. And they do that perfectly. And this is going to be a very interesting stage. Just under 2 minutes remaining. We do see the Goats with a very, very healthy Steiger on their cash out. Finally, 6 has been tapped. It looks like Team Extreme are posturing up to fight the Goats at this stage. You're looking at this one, the likelihood, Dojo, do you think we'll see this doubled up?
Well, it depends if Always Hungry can hold on to it. Because they are definitely a team that want to double this point. And I think if Pulsar Esports win this fight over the Vault, then it could it could be that we get a split. But looks like Pulsar Esports are heading over there to maybe intercept the journey. They don't want this to be doubled, I would imagine. So they're going to be trying to target Jurgen, who's carrying right now. There we go. There's some shots in the direction of the pink team. Out goes the dome. Yoip is down. Rampage is very low, but he does manage to deliver it. And that is a double on the final catch-up. That's exactly what Always Hungry and Team Extreme would have wanted here to keep themselves in contention for that first place.
Just under now 1 minute left to work with, nicely doubled in, and this is going to be for Pulsar a really important moment. They want to get themselves even more points from what has been a successful Playday here in Group C. Massive damage taken already to El Telco and Perzon as well, not too healthy from this. Still not going to be successful. The Goats just need to ride out the clock a little bit longer. Treason does find himself slain in the early stages of this team fight. Electo does get himself finally slain as well. It's going to be an absolute chaos arriving, but Carnifex, the only one standing from the Goats, but he will get that cash out locked in. And well, it's a little bit of a anticlimactic conclusion here, Jerry.
It is. At best, we're going to watch a kill fight between Always Hungry and Team Extreme, but that one's going to be done quite quickly. Always Hungry getting wiped. And now Team Extreme have the opportunity to get, 4 kills in the last 10 seconds, and that would put them in a good spot. Jordan, though, evaporates into a pile of coins as Treason puts any hope of Team Extreme getting a bunch of kills to rest. And now it really is an anticlimax.
It was a very, very kind of... I mean, I just see Waltz there in the Twitch chat. The legendary 8th Vault, who has been witnessed. Unfortunately, no one got their hands on it.
I would love to see it one day. I do not think that you can efficiently plug quickly enough to plug a 7th Vault. There is almost certainly some method of doing so if you are very quick with the Vault taps, very quick with gateways and things and plugs. But I don't know, it feels like the stars have to align, especially in an actual competitive game. Maybe if you try to get it working. I don't know, there's bound to be some finals Mythbusters out there that have plugged a 7th and 8th Vault, but I haven't seen it happen. So it's not real. Oh my god, Jurgen, I'm sorry. That is not a stat line to be proud of.
Oh,
Oof.
no. Oh, no. It's just like me in World Tour with you, Jerry. It seems like it's an unfortunate one. But I will say we're going to get one more win back from the side of the Goats, getting themselves their second here in this group play day. And Carnifex finding himself doing 7-1. I mean, 7-1. Massive individual on that KD stat line. Treason going 9-3. Huge from them. And I was a big fan of this matchup. And that a little bit through this matchup that we witnessed the Goats having very quiet cash outs time and time again. It felt like because of the massive Steiger and just positionings of the cash outs, how quick they were to go from plug or go from opening that vault to the plug, they were left somewhat kind of uncontested for a majority that they were able to collect a nice tally and going to that final fight. They were way ahead going into it, so a massive moment for them.
Yeah, and objective choice plays a big part in that, because there's only really one objective in this entire map that you don't want to have to take, and that's the hospital building, or the equivalent that we have in Fortune Stadium. And I can never remember the numbering system for Fortune Stadium. They're all just sector number X. Who's going to say that? We're just going to call it hospital. So, yeah, if you get a box over there, then you're pretty cushy, and that was Goat's game plan. It should be every team's game plan on Fortune Stadium. They put themselves in a position of power, and they rolled with that advantage. Don't let anyone tell you that the first cash outs don't matter, people. They always, always matter. So yeah, the Goats riding home that advantage and getting their second first place finish of the day. Tying with Pulsar now, effectively, in terms of first place finishes. Pulsar's slightly ahead, because Goats came last in one of their games, bizarrely. But that final game of Vegas could really be the difference maker. So we've got our final map of the day coming up with it, and it really has flown by, hasn't it?
It has done. Listen, for my very first time sharing the mic with anyone here in the finals, it has been an absolute blast, and we will take one last trip to Vegas. Who will be able to hit the jackpot here? Will it be Goats, Pulsar, or will there be an outside side bet for one of these teams to land something successful? Team Extreme, Always Hungry, have just been on the outside seemingly all day for one result for Always Hungry, finding a second place earlier on here on Bernal. So Jerry, it's time for what is our last map of the day, and who you have it out of all the teams in this matchup, who's going to take that number 1 spot?
I'm gonna go left field and say Always Hungry. I feel like the last map of the day and the last map of each group has always dealt a bit of a wild card. Maybe not always, but looking at my stats, it's been about 50-50. So if a team hasn't won by the end of the 4th map, they are more likely to win at the next map. That's just how it works. That's pure stats. And stats don't lie, people. So we have the Goats getting control of Cash Out 2, but look who's above them. Always Hungry, holding that vertical. Unfortunately, they don't find any kills for their troubles. On the other side of things, Pulsar and Team Extreme trading blows. But we'll stay on Cash Out B, because I've put my lot in with Always Hungry. That's the only reason.
I will say, though, another great decision from, or actually a great example of just the Goats, their decision-making here to realize, or not only the decision-making, but the speed of which they go from vault open to plugged and playing this Cash Out is incredibly efficient from them. This steal attempt, though, will be nasty. Dome Shield is effective, and a great cover behind that box will work for them. Unfortunately, they don't stick this one all the way out. Burzon does get a res off on the other side of the building, or other side of the map as well. Both teams find themselves in difficult encounters. Team Extreme wiped in the midst of that. And Always Hungry down to Yoik, the last one standing. He'll try and dash away, but the pike will shut him down. Treason finds it, and Conifex gets one of his own onto Jurgen as well. So the two top dogs finding success in the early engagements here on Vegas. And no kills from the side of Always Hungry in that fight.
Very neat winch there from Palmer as well, getting that box as far out into the open as humanly possible with just a single winch. Very neatly done. No catch, no jump pad required. Some great burst damage there as Drax willingly takes it. Unfortunately, that's what happens when you're in a winch meta. You cannot protect yourself from stuff like that. Lasky, just he's always going to take those. He's a demon with this 93R. Metelko as well with that pike. Taking out Leading Dagger. Team Extreme are being taken out before they can even get to the Cash Out. This is a slaughter going on the side of Pulsar Esports. Palmer on the other side finds Rampage in the opening engagement of their fight. And it really does feel like, yeah, the status quo is continuing here. Team Extreme and Always Hungry under the cosh. Well, there's the res, though.
Team fight opens up nicely. Glitch does take away that gateway. You can chase via, but look at this, the Goats, though, with that with B out in the open at this stage. The ARN is going to give you a nice advantage here on the range for Cardifex. He has to dive around deep here, trying to make that denial. Will be able to do so. Needs to find a second one. Good for with the assist of his teammate, and every single member of the Goats getting one apiece as they square up against Always Hungry, who find themselves for a second consecutive time wiped without any kills to their name. Pulsar should be able to get their Cash Out locked in as well, and that's Team Extreme have something major to say about it. But I don't imagine Goats have any interest of chasing this down. I have a sneaking suspicion they're going to go straight for the next vault and try and play and force out a small stagger in the Cash Outs early.
Yeah, they want to stay ahead of the pace at all costs, and, you know, they're not being met. Well, either team is being met with not the same level of third partying as we've seen in the past, so they're keeping pace with each other in terms of cash. And yeah, so far, I mean, we've seen, like, the Goats, it doesn't take a genius to say that they won that objective just off pure positioning, right? That box was drugged out so far, and there was no chance for the other side to get in on time. We see a plug going the way of the Goats, but now they do have to deal with a third party here, as both Team Extreme and Always Hungry are there. But thankfully for the Goats, those two are taking chunks out of each other as well. The Goats, though, are down to a few players. In fact, only Carnifex, who has to back away. He's trying to cover. What's going on here? We've lost track of the objective for a moment, but we're back in. Always Hungry have managed to flip that box successfully, and they are up and running. All three of them. I say that as Yoip's taken out by Treason. The Goats are coming in hot.
in the midst of that one. Parma does coin back into the fight as well as Treason, I believe, and left with only one coin to work with as Treason being slain yet again by Rampage. The Goats not in a great position here for their defense, or actually for a counter steal to try and flip this back in their favor. This is just going to play the advantage of Pulsar. They are a little bit behind the objective pace at this stage. The revive is there. Treason is back in the fight, so everyone from the Goats is still standing. They're going to try and tap this and look for a steal. They made themselves a brilliant fortress, double stacked with barricades, and the dome shield is there. Great moment from the Goats, and an escape gateway as well. They dart their way back to safety. They should shut that gateway down as well. They can just play for control up in these rafters and delay as much time as possible. Risky dive out, unfortunately. Does get caught by that early aggression. Great winch locked down, and this is going to be an attempted steal here from Always Hungry in the midst of that smoke. Are the Goats aware? I don't think they are. I don't think they can do anything about it. But the winch is perfect.
Oh, the winch!
No,
it's not enough. How has that happened? Unbelievable. And Always Hungry get away with it. They now have to defend for about 40 seconds or so, and they have to fall back. They've done so successfully. The Goats and Team Extreme both lacking bodies here. Always Hungry, the pink squad, are in a position of power, and they may have just put the Goats in a bit of a tough spot here. In come the kills, or the attempted kills from Carnifex. He has to dive on out of there. Treason taking flak as well. The question is, can Always Hungry hold onto it? They are all still up. They are all still above the point in a brilliant position. At the moment, Lasky finding Palmer as well, compounding the Goats' misery as they are just griefing from a distance. Always Hungry have done it. They've managed to find it. Look at the piles of goo and APS and barricades around that point. It was a constant steal fest.
Absolute chaos in the midst of that one, and the biggest winner of all of that, now yes, Always Hungry got the catch to their name, but it's going to be Pulsar. The amount of pressure that is now lifted off their shoulders is tremendous. Now they get themselves a significant advantage moving into our final phase here. These next vaults will begin to open up around it, and it'll ease all but locked in at this stage. Vault 5 has been touched from Always Hungry, and well, you said they were an outside pick to find themselves in that #1 position. They could definitely find a way there. Things go a little bit awry for Pulsar at the top of our standings here.
I'm going to hold my tongue for the time being, but it would be exceptionally cool to see that happen. Now, you see the gateway already set. Rampage very quick on the draw here. Good throw up through 2 layers of dematerializer to get that plug, but they've suffered casualties. Rampage goes down. The defib comes out, though, back up to full strength. Treason being put under a lot of pressure here. He's taken out. He leaves Palmer in an unenviable situation. Melted by Rampage with that SA-12. Teammates also contributing to that damage, and the Goats are wiped for the moment. Team Always Hungry are in a decent spot now, but they are behind Pulsar if Pulsar can hold on to A.
This is now a worst-case scenario from the side of the Goats. They're just going to find themselves realistically scrapping here for Always Hungry. Are they meant to try and chase down Pulsar, but the fact this is going to be 2 separate cash outs means there's no massive double dip and no massive inflection of 38,000 cash to work with, so they're going to be fighting on the back foot. And, well, they get themselves respawned back in. And where's going to be the decision-making? Where are they going to try and dive in? Early damage dumped to Jordan. Source of that is yet to be unknown, but he's playing a little bit isolated from the rest of his team on Team Extreme. But he will get vision on the Goats who are arriving and going to try and crash straight into Always Hungry.
The Goats realistically are fighting for second place because of how tightly timed both of these objectives are. They can't really steal one and then go for the other. They are just going to target Pulsar. This is the sensible option in the macro sense. They want to take their direct rivals in the league standings down a few points if they can do anything about it. So here we go. A long-range fight over the rooftops. Just how it started on Skyway with the 2 big hitters. But look at this. Who's sneaking underneath? I believe it's Lasky, who's ready to shoot Treason and co in the back if he can time his approach right, but no, he misses his opportunity. Treason getting close here. They smell a whiff. There he is. Lasky finds Palmer on the approach, and now the Goats are scrambling. They're caught in a crossfire in the middle of Las Vegas. Lasky finds more damage. Down goes Treason. Yoip falling on the other side of things, but Pulsar Esports are in control here, Whippet.
Pulsar just playing this perfectly. They don't have to take insurance. They got an ace on their own table. Palmer, Jordan will find one all apartment. This is only going to exacerbate the issues for the GOATs at this stage. Desperation begins to sink in as Carnifex is the last one standing. No time for the coins either, as they have just around 20
Always Hungry
seconds to play for. And here comes, as you mentioned, Always Hungry. Steel is going off in the distance. Can they be able to find a way to stick this one? They're almost guaranteed. Actually, they are guaranteed a second place. And with no time to make that steal, will just be a flurry of kills in this final conclusion. But Pulsar looks set to take number one here in Las Vegas. And yes, they do. It will be a second place finish for Always Hungry. Third place to go drop off on the final position. Team Extreme in fourth. But what a result in Pulsar. Kings of consistency, it feels, here on this Playday.
Incredible. So consistent from Pulsar Esports. That is 3 first place finishes and 2 second place finishes across the day. Never dropping below that second place spot on the podium. So consistent, so strong as a team. The GOATs will have their qualms about how that went down. They really were targeted at points during that, but so were Pulsar. And it just feels like when Pulsar were third-partied in previous maps, they fought off the 6 players that they got sent their way. And the GOATs maybe crumbled under some of that pressure. So really impressed by Pulsar today. Always Hungry, stepping up in that map as somewhat predicted. Couldn't get the first place that I was angling for. But yeah, really, really impressed by them as well. Jurgen, having some redemption after a really rough Fortune Stadium, making some excellent plays as the heavy, objectively, and on the kill sheet. So yeah, really good stuff from Always Hungry. Pulsar, the real winners of the day.
I think so. I'm going to really double down on how good this is for Always Hungry as well. A great points tally from them, sneaking into at least second place twice. They played that perfectly, and I think they benefited in a group like this where you realize you've got 2 incredibly dangerous teams that are going to likely occupy that 1 and 2 position time and time again. The fact is, you can just be able to capitalize when things go a little bit wrong, or these 2 Titans clash early. They played it very well indeed, and they can hold their heads up high with a decent point tally to wrap up this Playday. And well, Jerry, that now means that we are officially halfway through the season for Europe.
That it does, yeah. We are halfway through. We only have 3 more play days after this before we head on into our playoffs for the regional side of things. And then, of course, the championship playoffs for inter-regional play. So, yeah, a lot to be done. And, of course, by the time we get there, it's all 3v3 action. So don't you worry, that format is on its way. Cash Out, though, always entertaining. Absolutely love to cast it. Absolutely love to watch it. Teams are really proving themselves as well. Over the course of a season, you're going to get a lot of really crappy feeling results. You've got to feel for the GOATs today, but they come out of the day with 2 first place finishes. That still puts them in the upper echelons, right? They are still very much contenders for those top spots at the end of the season, and that's what matters most.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be one of those ones where I think in this format, especially going through Cash Out, you mentioned, you're going to have days where results just feel like they're against you. And with just, I think, the intrinsic random nature, you can be third party or you can be left. Like, we did see the fact that the GOATs were at, I think, all their victories first places. It felt like they were a little bit left alone from time to time, and they benefited from that deeply. So I just think the nature of this one, I think this is going to be a test of mentality from this team. I have no doubts they can come back stronger, but I think Pulsar played it absolutely perfectly. They get the majority of Reina points here in Group C.
Now, I just want to get a full confirmation from behind the scenes that what we're looking at is fully up to date, and that it is. So, rather interestingly, Saints won, propelling themselves into first place, it would seem, after today's Playday. If you want to take a look at all of these points, divide them up by Playday and by groups and all of this, you can have a look on prohubs.tf. And it will be all up to date. And I'm just getting the word that this is not, in fact, correct. So this would be just updated in a few seconds, maybe live. We'll get to see. Saints 1, of course, were in 5th at the start of the day. So it did seem a little bit odd. But I wouldn't expect them to be lower than 5th. They've probably jumped on up.
We'll
find out. We'll get that sorted.
I might have spoiled myself with a great reveal. I've refreshed, and it's. I would feel like it's what we would expect for the standings with everything we saw. I think everything lines up to me inside of here in Europe, and I think this all makes sense. I think is the best way to put it. When we get a final showing of you of the standings.
Here we go. All right. Second time's a charm, as the old saying goes. We'll have that up on screen in a moment. But yeah, I'm expecting to see, you know, the big winners of the day having climbed, right? We had Aimers getting so many first place finishes, Pulsar so many first place finishes, and Gamblers also getting a fair few, and they were quite low seeded. So I think there'll be a few of those big climbers in the day, but I may be wrong because of course we're looking at the third Playday and things are beginning to settle, so we might not have the same kind of massive jumps that we saw, for instance, from Saints 1 after Playday 1, you know, where they had a really rough first day and then shot up from 10th to 5th. That sort of thing's going to happen less and less as we accumulate points. So here we are, the final standings after 3 Playdays. Pulsar Esports right at the top with Aimers not too far behind, and Goats in the third. Saints 1 a considerable distance behind that, but still an impressive surge into 4th. And then we have a very tight cluster of teams, basically all the way down from 4th to 7th. So that 4th to 7th bracket is really narrow. And then the rest, basically. Vatican Esports, Gamblers, I'm surprised to see them as low as they did. They had a very good day today, but maybe just making up for lost ground so far. Makeshift, Team Extreme, and Bad Wi-Fi rounding it out.
I mean, this is, to me, I think, very reflective of the action that we saw going into today. And I think a big one is that I think Goat's going to be looking at this, going to be a little bit kind of kicking themselves that they've let these points slide away. They're, again, not too far away. A couple of big results going into them in the next play days, and they'll be back where they want to believe. But Saints 1 do make that step up. They started off in 5th. They get themselves to 4th, and slow climbs in a system like this, when you have teams like the Goats dropping points, could be huge for this team's buy-in. I think Saints 1 have all potential to maybe get themselves in that top 3 at some point.
Yeah, worth mentioning as well that Makeshift managed to push their way off the bottom spot today. So that was really impressive from them. They did get a couple of, you know, a win and a second place finish. Really impressive that they've managed to jump up into 10th. So yeah, they're definitely still in with a chance here. There's movement on all ends of the spectrum, which is really exciting to see at this stage in the tournament. So, Whip It, we're done. That's just about it for the Playday. However, we do, of course, have the NA Playday coming in a few hours' time, so do tune into that. Whip It, how has it been? Your first time on EU, your first time casting the finals, my brother. How's it been?
It has been an absolute pleasure, of course. I want to thank everybody here at Pro Hubs for giving me the opportunity to spread my wings and come here to the finals and test out the waters. Jerry, you welcomed me back to Caster Desk after many years apart, and it's been a pleasure as always. And of course, everyone in chat, you have been fantastic. It's been a pleasure to be part of the Europe community for a little while, and honestly, I love this game, and the action I saw today has made me fall in love with it even more. It was a pleasure to be here, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Whip It. Absolutely. Just straight back at you, everything you just said. So yeah, wonderful to join you again on the mic. And now that just wraps it up. That just about wraps it up. Thank you to chat, everyone in chat that has been contributing, that's been chatting, that's been watching, especially anyone that's been generous enough to be able to give to the prize pool. You've been fantastic. It makes a massive difference through your subs, through your donations, through everything. But most importantly, your viewership. It's great to have so many eyes on this esport as it develops and as it grows into what it can be, because this is such a great game to watch and to play. So stick with it. We're of course back later today with the NA Playday for Pro Hub Season 1. I've been Jerry. This has been Whip It. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.